days, counting all the ways I died. Everything I couldn't save, buried down, still half alive. It's got me crawling in my skin, but no one's coming out to hold me close. Pouring out the gasoline, yeah, I've been making friends with all these girls, and I got nothing left to lose. Fight to the future. It's not me to turn and run. Met the bitter truth and I choked it down. Left a bad taste on my tongue, but my appetite's been growing now. I can see you crawling in your skin, but no one's coming out to hold you close. I'm pouring out the gasoline, so say hello to all my ghosts. There's no you in my utopia. There's no you in my utopia. Dream of another world. pieces at a time. Pieces at a time.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's coverage of the NACL Open Qualifier Group Stage. My name is Gordo. I am joined tonight by Dabimon on the stream, and we have got ourselves an elimination match between Wang's Revenge and Castleberry, two of the upstart teams who had great performances in the Swiss stage and were able to make it into this top 16. Now, after their losses in the upper bracket, one of them is going to be going home here and ending 12th through 16th.
Yeah, but interesting enough, they did play against each other in the very first round of the Swiss stage for this qualifier, where Castleberry was able to start 1-0 as the lower seed. Has not worked out for them, but they've only played against good teams since then, or lost to good teams, Winthrop and Lotus being both of them. So there is a lot of ups for them to have, and they definitely have the potential here to beat Wang's Revenge once again.
Yeah, absolutely here. I mean, that was a really interesting Swiss stage. I mean, for Castleberry in particular, I think Castleberry, it's really kind of hard to get a read on their power level based on how the Swiss stage went for them, because they came in with some really good upsets. They upset in round one over Wang's Revenge, like you said, and then were able to take down Lotus, one of the other favorites for the tournament here. But then as is the case often when you're 19th seed or one of those lower seeds, you do get rewarded by just playing tougher and tougher matchups. So they end up playing against Winthrop and Team Fish Taco and dropping both of those games until eventually being able to come back against Phoenix 5 and win at 3-2. Then they get 2-0 last week by CCG. They did have a sub in at support. They brought in Ginkle as Barlow was not available. It does look like they're going to have Barlow for tonight. So a lot of question marks in the air around this Castleberry team.
Yeah, but having their starting support coming back into it, all the synergy that they have already had with Barlow kind of like was disrupted by using the Ginkle sub. But they're playing versus CCG, which is the favorites to win this group, and like they did have moments of brilliance last week and were able to do very well. They just couldn't close it out and just started making these small mistakes, and then just it snowballed out of the control. But they have the playmaking potential as Aj is in their mid laner. Someone showed me a great clip, Gordo, earlier today, and if he can like be able to keep that same mentality and make those same sorts of plays, then I think they're going to do very well, especially against Debonair, who's been a long-standing mid laner, but he hasn't exactly had a breakout moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely agree with that a little bit. I've gotten to see some really good plays out of Debonair during his time in ACL. So definitely want to see him kind of be able to show some of that stuff on a bigger stage, like the ACL playoffs, like the NACL qualifiers, these kind of high stakes tournaments, really where I'm waiting to see if he's going to be able to piece everything together and show us a little bit extra. And I think it's going to be a really interesting match between him and Aj here tonight, just because of what we kind of expect out of both of them, right? I think there's a lot of question marks there around Debonair's play. Will he be able to piece everything together here? And then Aj with that really fancy play that we got to see out of Swiss, but a relatively unknown player who I haven't gotten to see a whole bunch of so far. Another big matchup to be on the lookout for is going to be Boil the Oil facing up against Geiger. Both of these guys who've kind of been like on the brink of being able to make it into that top 8 NACL qualifier territory before. And haven't quite been able to break through that threshold, but both been having really solid performances recently. Boil the Oil, basically ACL royalty at this point, has been playing in that league for quite a long time and put up a couple of really solid performances against Ole Miss last week. His set in particular in their win in that best of 3, I thought looked really, really good. Castleberry, meanwhile, Geiger, I think he's been showing some really solid performances as well. He had a really good Gragas game up against CCG. So especially with Fearless, with the fact that we're going to get different matchups with every game in the series, it's going to be really interesting to see how they end up performing up against one another.
Yeah, I'm really excited for the Fearless opportunities here, so that we're not just going through the same rung drum of who's getting Smolder, who's getting Senna, and you see that a lot of these prio picks, one you'll see how they were going to try and use the priority picks here to get what they want, try and probably force the team on it, their opponent team on something very strong early in the series, so that as it progresses, they could potentially just like go with something easy, and it mixes up the bands. Sorry.
Yeah, definitely change up those bands a little bit, and does mean that as the side swaps come in, it's going to really start to change up what we expect to see. All right, we're changing draft law links once again. I'm just trying to keep on top of where exactly the draft is going to be kicking off, but we are expecting it to begin here in just a couple of seconds. Once that one is underway, we are going to be looking to get into game 1 of tonight's best of 3. Really going to have our eyes on those scaling 80 carries, I think, regardless. Like you said, not going to be the Smolder versus Senna gameplay each and every single time, but both of these 80 carries been drawing Senna bans, and both of these 80 carries been picking the Smolder when it's available. So I think it's going to be a high priority for both of the squads here tonight. They look to see if they can sneak on out those wins and get themselves into the final qualifier match. We don't know exactly who they're going to be playing against. They'll play against the loser of CCG versus Ole Miss, the upper bracket match that's going on right as we speak. So being able to come out on top there and potentially have a shot at, I think most people would expect Ole Miss to be the one dropping on down, but it could be either team depending on the result.
Well, if you are either Wang or Castleberry, you hope it's Ole Miss, because they are definitely the easier team, especially since they've already dropped games into this group stage bracket. But starting off, Wang going straight for that Varus ban.
Absolutely. So draft kicking off. It's going to be the Varus ban. It's going to be the Ashe ban. That Ashe been restricted away from Wang's Revenge throughout most of their matchups so far. Very few teams willing to give them access to that pick. Something else to note here is we've seen a lot of Udyr bans being directed on both sides of this before. Curious to see if that's going to continue to hold on out, as both of these top laners are going to be willing to pilot that Udyr if the opportunity presents itself. Instead, looking towards the jungle a little bit, that's going to be the Xin Zhao taken away from Castle. A classic favorite of his, was not able to show up big on it against CCG last week, but still deserves that respect, and Wang is going to give it to him.
Yeah, there's only like one thing that does very well in the Xin Zhao, which is Trundle. And Cross isn't here tonight to play, so Xin Zhao ban definitely worth it. He just does everything well. He doesn't have a weak point of the game, and he's able to peel and create lots of space while still having that all-in potential. CB rounding it out with the final ban being Smolder.
Oh, that's going to leave up the Senna. Wang's Revenge going to lock it right on in. So going to be at least one of those favorite AD carries in the current meta. And yeah, with the Smolder gone, with the Varus gone, you do wonder what Castleberry are going to go for. They did bust out the Zeri before for Nightstar in their match against CCG last week. I wonder if that's just going to be the default. Looking at the Jinx, though, they're just going to lock that one in.
Yeah, the Jinx very well. They're just playing whoever can scale harder, faster. If I'm CB here, I'm thinking about, do I want to take the Tahm Kench away? Because that's going to create a lot of open space for the Senna, because both of those champions can farm. That Tahm Kench provides so much utility in keeping that Senna alive long.
Absolutely, giving them that extra value. Ooh, Ahri being hovered for Aj, and they're just going to lock that one in nice and early. Slight Ahri buffs coming through really made a lot of people start to feel like this is just a blind pickable champion, and it looks like Castleberry are well in that territory. They're going to snap that one up. Say, let's see what you can present here. Azir is still disabled on the current patch. Worth calling that out. The well-received Orianna, though, still going to be an option for Debonair, but I've seen quite a few Debonair highlights on Ahri in my day. It does not surprise me that this is likely going to be a contested pick in the series, and that Castleberry want to be able to secure it for themselves early. We'll give over the Nautilus to be paired up with that Senna. Nothing too surprising there. Many teams favoring the Nautilus over the Tahm Kench in the latest meta. And now there's that Volibear, can be flexed between jungle and top. Looks like they want to be able to take that one and keep the flex alive.
Yeah, I kind of wish the Nautilus was a Tahm Kench, because now you leave up the availability for CB to grab Vi here. Vi Ahri, a very strong jungle mid duo, and Tahm Kench like completely ruins that as we go past into the mid game. So we'll see if CB can grab the Vi, or if they're thinking about anything else here.
Definitely a big risk for them. They have the chance to take their support, though, and they're looking at the Melio, wanting that extra range, that extra burn damage to go along with the Fishbone's range, and they decide that they want it. They'll get locked on in, and now immediately the Orianna ban comes across. They're going to look to pinch pretty hard onto Debonair's pool here. Ahri already snagged away. Orianna banned. Talia was the last champion we've gotten to see out of Debonair before. Twisted Fate, not quite as big in the meta these days, and even then, a lot of teams are taking it top, so not too many options going to be left for Debonair here. He's going to end up pretty deep down the pool.
Yeah, there's just not going to be a lot. We've been seeing Vigar getting some resurgence recently, especially against the hypermobile champ like Ahri, just being able to lock her up. But with that Nico ban, it does leave up the position for that Talia to be picked up.
Does, so very well might be that selection. They are going to take away the Nico, like you said. Talia, pretty high up on my list. I think it's pretty solid into the Ahri. You know, you could at least craft yourself scenarios where they are not going to have access to those dashes thanks to the Rolling Earth. Might very well be a solid choice for them. There's that Vi band coming across. So Wang's Revenge paying respect to that pick, like you said earlier on. Going to make sure that it's not going to be available for Castleberry.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder what they're going to go with here. There's just... Oh, they're trying to give the jungle counter pick, going with the safe up Asante, really rounding out that front line.
For sure. And they're going to be taking that one for Geiger. Going to have the counter pick available for Boil the Oil. Of course, the Olaf not available, but plenty of other top laners left in the pool, unless they do want to put the Volibear up there and take themselves a different jungler for Rapid. Rapid did not play the Volibear last week, but they're hovering the Aatrox, and they're going to lock it in for Boil the Oil to play into the Cassante. So that confirms Volibear jungle. And now last pick is going to be Debonair's mid laner. This is where they have been particularly pinched. Is it going to be that Talia that we talked about?
It can be, but you see a lot of frontline going in with the LeBlanc, being able to get to that back line very easy. Ooh, or Swain, just adding more to the front line.
All
a
right.
lot of healing here on the side of Wang, so aim of the CB is getting that early heal reduction, especially going into mid game.
Yeah, it definitely see a lot of value there for the healing reduction. Definitely going to be a really powerful front line to try to work through for CB Gaming. I mean, they have the DPS to be able to do it eventually with that Jinx. They're going to take the Viego as well, looking to maybe try to get some resets on across. This is not going to be an easy team, though, to burst out and to start off your kill count on. So going to be a little bit of a task here for Castle to be able to get the reset train rolling. You're going to want to make sure that this Ahri is going to be strong enough to where you can piece together those kind of one-shot pick combos alongside the Viego when they do present themselves.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely difficult for the Jinx. One, because she's scaling, and it's going to take for a while to even get to the damage, and all these champions are just going to jump straight on top of her. There's just so much lockdown, and they're just going to be in your face, and you're going to have to create that space. And I don't know. Jinx looks like the target. I think that Nightstar is going to have a very difficult game going on for the start of this series.
Really going to, yeah, definitely have a bit of a tough time starting off, but anything can be overcome with a successful early game. So going to be on the lookout to see how exactly they're going to be able to navigate here. Now, we do have to wait 3 extra minutes to create an artificial spec delay for competitive integrity, but we do at the very least get to check on out some of the keystone runes that have been selected here, and I'm not seeing too much unexpected. Maybe one thing to note is the Conqueror on the Swain. A lot of mid lane Swains opt in for the Aerie these days, just for that extra harass in lane, but up against Aj on this kind of longer range Ahri, I see why they want to just opt to have that extra healing and combat power in the extended fights.
Yeah. Just because they have the opportunity to go that way doesn't mean that it is going to be the most efficient thing that they can bring to the table. But as long as I just don't see a way CB is going to get away from it, especially with how strong Volibear is in these ganks. It doesn't matter how much healing you have if you can't live long enough to heal at all.
Yeah. So, Davi, any strong opinions here on where you're going early on if you're Castle here, knowing that CB, they have got to deal with this front line. They kind of have to be in the driver's seat, it feels like, to be able to get this reset train rolling. Do you have a lane here that stands out to you as what Castle should be pathing towards?
I I think the easiest lane for them is going to be the top lane. Cassante is going to have some trouble into Aatrox, but I think that they can win the 2v2 just because Senna and Nautilus have so much CC potential that the Jinx isn't going to survive long in a 3v3. So there's no reason to go down there, and Swain is just going to be unkillable. So it's going to be very difficult for them to work around that mid bot lane. Which, if they're presenting towards the top side, which will be good, throwing up some of their, maybe they'll just steal a grub or two away so they're not worrying about those grubbies taking down towers.
Absolutely. Good. Definitely secure them some of that early game power if they're able to find it. That does mean that Nightstar and Barlow are going to have to try to play safe up against the Senna Nautilus lane. Definitely have quite a bit of range to work with there, though. I've seen some of these Melio lanes get a little bit out of control if you are able to find some of that early harass. I love the combo of the rockets plus that extra burn damage that the Melio provides. And gonna be a little bit tough to actually reach those guys as long as Barlow's keeping his wits about him and has access to that cleanse for any kind of ganks that do end up coming on through for Rapid. You do want to be on the lookout for that mid lane, though, as well. The Volibear, I find to be really strong, still ganking mid lane, even on this patch and on this kind of new map. Can really just go in for those flash stuns and really does set up for a great chain CC alongside the hook from Swain.
Yeah, I think Rapid's gonna abuse Aj a lot in the mid lane, just because you're able, like you said, you're able to CC chain it very well, but also because the Nautilus is gonna roam a lot as well. Or the Senna, like any one of those two champions can do very well in their movement. While Boiled Oil versus Geiger is definitely gonna be an island fight, but yeah, Aj looking to have a rough early game, which they need to abuse before that she can get that Spirit Rush online.
Absolutely here. It looks like we are about ready to get onto the Rift. Game number 1 here between Wang's Revenge and Castleberry. Elimination best of 3 here in the second spring NACL qualifier. It is a win here to play against either CCG and Ole Miss next week, or lose and be done until the summer.
Yeah, and Wang's starting going to the bot side right now for a 5 stack, hopefully to catch someone out on CB, just because that early bush, people do tend to go walk in towards it, and you have Nautilus, so very strong early.
Ooh, looking around there, did see a little bit of a hook from Cerulean fly into that bush, did not end up connecting at a Night Star. They will give the respect and the space that is deserved. Do want to call out the Ghost on Debonair as well. This is one of the champions where you don't often want to take the teleport on your mid laner, and the reasoning for that is largely because of how much value you can get out of the Ghost on this maybe a little bit less popular Swain pick. It's just super important to be able to make sure that you keep your Demonic Ascension in range, as that's one of those ultimates that just keeps going infinitely as long as you're able to keep somebody inside of it. So got to be something to keep on the lookout for. It does give him that extra little bit of escape tools, but also means that forcing a recall out's a little bit more punishing than it is against most mid laners.
Yeah, but there's a lot of sustain that comes with it as well, just to the nature of the kit. As long as he's able to dodge those ebb and flows, things are going to be very well for him, and he's just going to be able to scale silently and strongly, especially because once he walks into a team fight, presumably around Dragon or the Rift Herald is when he'll really come online.
Yeah, definitely here. Saw already the first hook going on out from Debonair, connecting onto Aj. Each and every one of those does matter a little bit, as they give you passive stacks, which give you permanent max health. So definitely want to avoid those wherever possible. If you are Aj, going to give him that nice little trade, but not going to be under too much pressure either way. The jungler starting on opposite sides. Castle going to be looking to path upwards towards that top lane, like you called out. Namesake of the team going to want to make sure he's setting up Geiger for success, and Geiger already doing pretty well. He's the first one to tick level 2, and he gets a solid trade to Boil the Oil for it, but Boil the Oil looking to trade back as he ticks level 2 himself, gets access to that Umbral Dash, and makes him feel the pain for it.
Yeah, and it's also pushing in towards Boil the Oil, so as long as he goes slow, this can go in his favor and keep Castle away. And he'll be able to survive the 1v2 just this early at least.
Holding strong.
And in the bot line, you see Cerulean. He's the one farming here, but Rapid.
Yeah, was looking for a little bit of a steal here, but Geiger going to find him first, and there's going to be the assist coming on out from that Swain, but Aj is the first one to the play, and Aj gets first blood for it. Now Castle moving forward on towards Debonair, looking to get the chain CC on across with the stolen up form, now chopping down onto Debonair until he's going to be able to shift back. Aj waiting on that charm, sends it out, doesn't quite connect onto Debonair, going to get the hook back to get a little bit of HP while he's at it, but that is a fight win for the side of Castleberry if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, they tried to go for the invade without any priority from his laners, and was immediately punished because Aj had that first roam timer and got there fast. Didn't leave it up to chance. Flash charmed in there, locking him up, and allowed for Castle to get the reset and try and chase down Debonair.
Now another top lane trade. Again, looking pretty Geiger favored. Want to be able to dodge out on that next Antofo strike and keep his HP pretty high. Notably, no summoners left on Geiger. Both summoners still on Boil the Oil. He's going to have some health bar to work with, as long as he makes sure that he doesn't end up going down. The red buff also not slain, despite how low it fell in that last fight, so Castle going to be able to secure that for himself to pick up to that level 4, keep his jungle cleared, and feel confident in his Scuttle Crab that is going to be waiting up on that top side.
And other than that, there's not really much going on. We see Rapid making his way down to the bot side. He still has his flash up, so he can get onto either Nightstar or Barlow pretty quickly if they chose to. But with the Grubbies about to spawn, it looks like TB is in the perfect position to get the first free.
Yeah, and with Geiger ticking up to level 5, looks like they might be considering a dive. They're just going to settle for stealing away the Gromp. They should be able to secure this without too much trouble. Geiger also feels confident to go for a little bit of a proxy farm here, knowing that he does have the backup pings coming out across, assuming, hey, this is a little bold out of the Cassante. He must have a little bit of additional backup. And if they want to transition this into the Grubbies, they should be able to get it. Meanwhile, Wang's Revenge, they're just going to snag the Dragon, and it will be that early objective trade.
Yeah, as soon as the ping started coming in from Boyle, the rest of the team went straight for that Dragon because they knew that Castle was up there. And Castle, knowing that everyone's gone from that lane, transitioning over to get those grubs after that Gromp steal. So overall, just really good trading for objectives here. Just decent macro at this level.
Definitely not too much favoring either way. Geiger going to be able to pick up that plate, though. So that's something to speak of. Going to give him that additional gold in the lane matchup where the CS has otherwise been pretty even. Rapid going to snag away a Gromp. It is one of those things that has made the trade sometimes a little bit more favorable towards whoever's grabbing the Dragon, as they're usually able to get some bot lane pressure as well. That is a little bit the difference this time, though, as they are actually crashing in the wave. They're not losing out on any plates. They will lose the Gromp, but they stole the Gromp for themselves on the opposite side. So all in all, favors a Castleberry, but here's the clapback. Cerulean going in for the flash hook, going to connect on a Nightstar, and Nightstar just melted down so fast. Rapid arrives to close out the kill, and they will even the odds here. Wang's Revenge are on the board.
Yeah, 3 summoners for 2 right there, but Cerulean doesn't really need his flash. Like, he's just there to farm. Rapid being without his for the next 5 minutes means we're going to have some interesting objective choices, since Castle's flash is about to come off cooldown and is about to hit 6, looking to probably invade that topside jungle.
Definitely is, and they'll set up their bot lane for a little bit of success here, getting some time to farm without having to worry about Nightstar being able to do the same. But Nightstar already back in lane, not going to suffer too much for it. Has access to the Berserker Greaves now as well, just to get out a few more of those empowered auto attacks. Gonna be looking to crash in this wave here before too long. Wave crash coming out in mid as well. And I want to call out, and Aj is doing a great job in mid lane so far. He's up about 3 waves worth of CS with this wave crashing in. Some of that'll get cleaned up by Debonair, but it's going to end up being a lead either way, as Castle snagging away the blue buff right in front of Rapid's face. And this topside matchup continues to favor Castleberry.
What's interesting about this entire thing is that they picked Aatrox into the Cassante and are getting pushed in. Boyle having a rough time versus Geiger's Cassante. Yeah, he's up CS, but he's down in plate. He has no pressure, and there's just no answer for Castle's invade.
No, none at all, and starting to build up a pretty substantial lead over the Volibear here. And I mean, this is the early game spiking champ, right? You definitely want to be able to be in the driver's seat as that Volibear, but going down for first blood, not the best start. Was able to come back with 1 kill, but all in all, it feels like Castle has been on the front foot the whole way through.
Yeah, really dominating. The namesake showing this is his team. But we'll see how well they're able to continue this going forward. Only about 1,000 gold lead here at 8 minutes, but like you said, that's mostly just the CS diff through mid lane.
Mostly coming in through there for sure. Already a 600-ish gold lead. Nothing to be ashamed of there. For Aj is going to be looking to see if they are going to be able to actually capitalize on the item spikes it gives them. It looks like they've spent the gold pretty much in its entirety. So yeah, that's completed Malignance here at 8 minutes 40 seconds, and that's going to be a huge combat power boost to Aj in comparison to what Debonair is putting out. Especially looks like he's going for that Rylai's first, but they're often going to actually end up both going for that Malignance. It would surprise me to see Debonair go for a different kind of mana focused item on this Swain.
Yeah, I don't really see. Isn't Malignance still based off the ultimate proc?
On the top side.
Geiger's still creating all this pressure, which means that Castle's gonna be able to clear from bot to top again, most likely going for the second pairing of grubs. just getting all 6, giving them a lot more pushing pressure, especially since like Night Star, while having died, is not entirely far behind. So like the scaling is still coming up well for him. So we'll have to see if Rapid can get back down there and try to abuse this champion.
We will have to find out. Rapid just clearing on out of this red buff. Will be able to secure it for his team. The Grubbies coming on down for the side of Castleberry. And here's an engage from Rapid on the bottom side. Flash over the wall from Barlow. Recognizes that he's in danger, but able to create the space and get away in time. That's a 4 versus 2 on the bottom side of the map that Nightstar and Barlow wisely exit from. Meanwhile, the full 6 Grubs going over to Castleberry. Geiger not letting up on this push. And Aj doing much the same in mid lane here, showing why the Ari's a blind pickable champ these days, and the Swain maybe not so much, as that CS lead is just continuing to grow with each and every passing wave.
Yeah, I mean, he's he's got one of those plates already off. He's able to outpace Debonair here, and as long as they're able to crash it on repeat, he's going to be able to continue these plays. He's got about...
Ooh, hook back in. They're chaining everything onto Aj, and Aj gonna end up falling down before the fight even really starts in earnest, and that's a big advantage to Wang's Revenge as they look to secure themselves this second dragon. Doesn't look like Geiger's done yet. Is gonna have to dash out to safety. Deathwalker falling low. There's going to be the ultimate connecting, and they're gonna throw on the all out, trying to melt through this team, even at the numbers disadvantage. Geiger gonna claim the first, looking for a second one onto Rapid, gonna be able to find that as well. And look at Nightstar getting excited on the other side, not slowing down in the fight, picks up a third for the side of Castleberry, but Boil the Oil is in that world ender and has gotten resets. It's a double kill over to Debonair, who's just been channeling Demonic Ascension the whole time, but Aj has respawned and teleported back in. It's just too late for the fight though. Debonair pulls him back in, looking to make this a fully Wang favored fight, but it is going to be a 3 for 3 at the end of the day.
Yeah, 3 for 3, but all 3 of those went on the Debonair, and like we said earlier, like he's just quietly scaling until he's a monster, and getting that giant influx of gold right there is going to just skyrocket him ahead, especially since Aj was able to died at the beginning of that team fight, so just was 0 impact on going, and looks to be caught out of position again.
You do manage to melt down targets early, but it's not the ones who are going to have that sustained DPS, and that is where Debonair shines. Now, really well set up in this mid lane. I mean, despite how well Aj has been doing in the early game, Aj sending out the ultimate there as well. Get some Malignance proc, but not much else. And now that Debonair gets to spend, I mean, he's going to be fully caught up with this Ari. That 3 extra gold in his pocket, or the 3 extra kills worth of gold in his pocket. They're going to let him complete the Rylai's. They're going to let him get an extra Fiendish Codex, and he's going to be ready to go once again before too long.
Yeah, that he is now the only member on his team with a full-on item advantage lead. I mean, yes, Senna does have these items over Milio, but I mean, she's getting a lot of just passes.
For sure. Fight breaking out in the top lane once again. And like you said, the only one who's really got the lead is going to be Debonair. Geiger still taking the fight up against Boil the Oil up here, and perhaps even more favored than he was before with those 2 kills worth of gold that he was able to pick up down on the bottom side of the kill and 2 assists. Now resetting. Going to be some additional poke landing across the wall there from Nightstar and Barlow, but they are still on the weak side of the map. The Dragons have been going over to Wang's Revenge as they get their second. And it's still Castle on this top side, claiming a 3rd quadrant of the jungle for himself. See if Rapid ends up finding him.
I think if Rapid even finds him, it's not a winning matchup. Just do the Kraken Slayer and the ability ready to just outdo.
Geiger in the all-out on the top side, going to get pulled back away. Now the junglers going to find each other. Castle going back and forth with Rapid. Debonair throwing on out that extension and is going to start off the fight. Going to be able to pick up the first kill onto Castle. And CB, they have got to bail out of here real soon as Debonair is just way too dangerous. Geiger getting drained over the wall will give the shutdown over to Boil the Oil, and that is not what you were hoping for on the dominant top side of Castleberry. You give up 2 for 0.
Yeah, Debonair is now a raid boss, and the gold lead is now even out. He's got a shutdown, and the scaling answer they have on Castleberry's side is pushed underneath her own tower. Not a lot of answers, so maybe Castle stops with those invades now, because it's giving Wang the access to those objectives.
Now getting down that Rift Herald, it will be going over towards Rapid Side. So even those top side objectives that have been all belonging to Castle throughout the game, ending up going Wang's away. And now as the gold lead dead even across the board, they've fully restabilized from where they were at in the early game. And this Swain is just so dangerous that it feels really hard to take some of these mid-game fights around this next dragon in 3 minutes. You're not going to want to give that one up for free, but walking into Debonair, that's just a recipe for disaster. Now, I think we're not getting your sound there, Dobby, but hopefully we'll be able to get that back as... Oh, we got you now?
Yep. Sorry. So just being able for Nightstar to being so far behind because you got those tier 2 boots, so he's down a complete item into any team fight going on to this point. So like it's up to Wang to keep them as long as they can in this bot lane while they still have the gold defend.
Definitely. Geiger still keeping the push up, but Aatrox is pretty much stabilized at this point, has access to the Profane Hydra to be able to clear out these waves a lot more effectively, and Geiger just not finding the procs on towards that turret any longer with the Demolish, just doesn't have enough time to be able to do it. Castle strong on this Kraken Slayer power spike, but hanging around the bottom side, not getting too many opportunities presented. Looks like everybody's just going to keep on farming up, trying to get as many items as they can in time for this fight over the third dragon. Minute 30 to go, and Wang definitely want to keep up that stacking for as long as they can. And they definitely want to be able to hit this next item onto Debonair as well. Already got himself 27 soul fragments for that additional max health, and looks like they are working on that Malignance here, be able to give themselves the additional power. Maybe they just hit the gold value as they are recalling.
And then the first item bought back from Carillion is that Frozen Heart. So stopping those auto attacks from Jinx and Viego coming in will do a lot to prevent those power spikes with those two Krakens as they fight for this third dragon.
Oh, a minute to go on this dragon. The Scuttle are going to be spawning here soon. And Castleberry, they know they need to be the ones taking control of the river first. Walking into the Swain going to be a lot harder than forcing the Swain to walk into you. That means they need to be the ones who get this Scuttle Crab. They need to be the ones who have control over the river. Rapid going to come on in. They're going to try to jump onto him. Debonair's coming in on the side, though. That's going to be Dawning Shadow across all four. And look at the angle out of the Swain, dragging them all back in. Geiger going to be able to pull him back over the wall, though. Nightstar still at full HP as they flash in for the stun, but he's still raining down the damage on the other side. Geiger's been able to buy enough time up against Debonair that his ultimate will expire, but Castle fell down first in the fight, so it's going to be much, much harder for Castleberry to have any chance here. They have to take it 4 versus 5. Are the lack of cooldowns going to be enough? Boil the oil, advancing forward once again on towards Barlow. The dive in from Wang, and Carillion will be able to pick up that kill onto Nightstar, and now there's no fighting options left. They're getting this third dragon.
Yeah, and try as he might, Geiger, who was able to get Debonair out of that team fight, but it didn't matter. The fact that he was able to get that pull down right at the beginning of that fight, completely disrupting everything CB was trying to do. Castle immediately getting blown up there. Absolutely detrimental to the game. And we are now at soul point for Wang and Baron spawning in the next minute and a half.
Yeah, another great fight by Wang there. I love the call from Geiger to isolate Swain out of the fight, but it was just a little bit too late. The value that was achieved from being able to find that start to the fight was so substantial that it was so difficult to recover from, and does mean that we're going to find ourselves with about a 2k gold lead going on over to Wang's Revenge. Geiger switching up sides. Everybody gets reallocated across the map. That first turret did fall over to the side of Wang's Revenge, but mid lane tower is still going to be very important for map pressure. Castle hovering around there to see if he can find an opportunity to make a play, but Carillion just a little bit too tanky here. This is the farming Nautilus. He's already got that Frozen Heart completed, and he's working on more and more armor. Yeah,
I mean, that's all he really needs to focus on. maybe getting a Themis chains for Ari, so all that damage that does come out, it isn't nearly as bad. But because of the true damage in her kit, he doesn't really need to go outside of armor just to deal with the 3 armor physical damage threats.
Definitely the physical damage going to be pretty easy to nullify here for all of these frontliners. I mean, they're all going to be able to optimize for it at least a little bit. Even the Swain grabbing themselves the Zonias later on, not a bad choice by any means. And I already see working on an additional armor item here is Rapid, looking like that.
Dead Man's Plate?
Yeah, Dead Man's Plate for sure. I wanted to say Stone Plate, but that is not what that item is called.
It's close. It's got plate in it.
It's got plate, definitely, yeah. But too many plates, too many names, not all coming up at the same time. But either way, going to give them that additional engage power. I mean, that's a classic Volibear item right there, and is going to be super effective into this team composition. It's going to really be on Aj be able to present this additional damage on the Ari. He's got the Lich Bane second, so going for that extra movement speed plus that extra source of damage in his auto attacks.
Yeah, but we got to really see how well he's able to weave those in there to maximize that damage. Just because they're so far ahead, I don't really want to be anywhere within auto attacking range as an Ari.
Ooh. Double TP deep behind enemy lines. Castleberry want to take the fight. Cerulean going to try to use Geiger as an escape route. They're going to be able to focus down this Nautilus without any trouble at all, and they're going to funnel the kill right into Nightstar. A good pick there, but that's at the cost of 2 teleports. They're going to need to get a little bit more.
Yeah, but as long as they're able to translate this in that mid tower as well, due to those grubs, they're doing a lot of true damage to that tower. They have a lot of push potential here. Overall, really good just being able to make any sort of play instead of quietly lose.
Yeah, really great stuff there to try to be able to even get a collapse on Rapid. They don't quite end up connecting on the engage, but there was a chance to get a little bit more kills. They at the very least get the mid lane turret, like you said. That's going to help open up the map a lot more. That's going to give them more paths of approach and more ability to control the river when it does come time to fight for that Dragon Soul. And the fact that their mid outer is still standing can be one of those difference makers once it gets to be that time. 90 seconds to go here, so you got to expect that they're going to continue to hold up the defense for Castleberry. And by the way, with the timing on the resets there, Geiger able to just sneak up top lane and grab another outer turret. That's going to do a lot to collapse the gold lead and get to give more money towards that Cassante.
Oh yeah, and the fact that he's able to do it, he's going to be able to walk down to the bot side now, hopefully, as this next dragon spawns in a minute. Because without that teleport, you don't really want to give away Dragon Soul for free. But just going up to answer the Aatrox might put your team behind in an awkward position of 45 that they probably don't want to take.
Yeah, that's the other thing you got to look out for is you expended both TPs on the pick play earlier. Boil the Oil still has access to his, so who's going to go answer Boil the Oil? Looks like they're just deciding they're going to try to brawl here nice and early as Geiger is still down on this side. They're certainly going to forfeit that top lane outer turret. They have almost no chance of being able to avoid it, and they are now going to have to look on the engage on the bottom side. Rapid throwing on down that lightning, but is going to dissuade any further engage. And first turret going to fall up there to Boil the Oil. Now setting up for that dragon. It's still 30 seconds to go. This is so much time for Boil the Oil.
Yeah, he could potentially just go and take the next one. He's got all the time up there and the teleport. So is that pickaxe really worth that?
Ooh, fight breaking out here. They're going to move forward on towards Cerulean. He's taking a bunch of damage to start things off. They weren't able to get onto the priority targets. Aj using 2 of his ultimate stacks. Nightstar using Ghost, Castle using Flash, but everybody staying at relatively high health totals except for Cerulean. Aj finding the pick here, going to get that charm on Rabbit, chunking him to about half HP, but Boil the Oil is here. He gets a double knockup off of the Q2. Debonair advancing forward with that ultimate, but is not going to be draining on anybody. Castle steps up forward, maybe a little bit too early, but Debonair taking a bunch of damage. There's going to be Geiger falling down to the backside. It's a numbers advantage for Wang, but that is going to be a health bar advantage for Castleberry. The Swain ultimate is down. He is going in for the recall. It's a 4 versus 4 when all is said and done, and the fight continues. Aj gets another chunk on towards Cerulean. The dragon is the focus. It smites on over towards Rapid. Dragon Soul now available for Wang's revenge, and Boil the Oil going to see what he can do with it, but the revenge is coming in from Castleberry. Nightstar walks away with a double kill, but it is in trade for the soul.
Yeah, you'll see right now if they're gonna try and go for the desperation Baron play, uh, with the fact that Rapid and Boiled Oil are both down.
Oh, there's going to be another pick found by Debonair, but who's picking who? As this is a 4 versus 1. He tries to demonically ascend, but way too late, as he will drop to Nightstar. And now this could be a Baron angle. 3 members still down. Castle focusing it on over. They gave up the Dragon Soul, but they get a huge power play to be able to do whatever they want on the map. Cerulean and Deathwalker are coming up to try to interrupt this. Good damage found onto Nightstar to start things off. This is a 2 versus 4, and they like the odds. Cerulean dives in onto Barlow, now gets himself a double kill. They're finally able to find the Baron, but there's going to be nobody left wearing it at the end of the day as Nightstar goes down as well. 3 kills, back over to Wang's Revenge.
Yeah, that was very close. Because I don't know if you saw there, but Castle Smite took Baron down to 22 health before it was auto-attacked by Nightstar, securing it for CB. So that could have been anyone's Baron at that point.
Whew. Yeah, I mean, if you end up stealing the Baron there as Cerulean, you are a hero. You're a hero to Wang's Revenge for the rest of the night. And there's nothing anybody can do to stop Wang from being able to continue to march on through this game. It's already going to be tough either way. Cerulean looking for an engage here. They've got 4 members up against Geiger. He is pretty tanky, though, and going to get that additional support from Barlow, so they are going to have to give it up. Still just showing how willing they are to just push these go buttons, though. They have the Infernal Soul. They know that they out-damage whatever's going to be brought to the table, and Geiger picked in again. Going to get blown up here, trying to fight it out. Dawning Shadow comes on across. Geiger's still standing, but finally Rabbit going to be able to finish him. But look at the damage coming on across from Nightstar. He's perfectly safe in the cozy campfire, just raining the shots on across every single member. Boil the Oil going to go down. It's a quadra kill to Nightstar. The ace comes through for Castleberry, and they're going to bust open the base on this push.
Yeah, Nightstar, very, very good spacing there. Having that campfire presence so that he's able to stay safe and maximize the range. So just doing very well. And they're pushing in. It looks like they're going to try and end here with how excited that Jinx is.
They certainly are going to try. Respawn's coming on through here very soon, though. Cerulean and Deathwalker already up. Rapid in 5 seconds. They're going to have to stop short of the Nexus turrets. They get themselves mid lane inhibitor and a boatload of gold into Nightstar. And if they can execute fights like that again, then it does not matter that the Infernal Soul is present. Nightstar's damage at such substantial range, untouched, completely dominates the fight.
Yeah, and they're going to have all this pressure, probably just going to focus it on the bot side of the map, just because the next major objective being Elder. Just able to get those last turrets that are up, go for that bot lane, open up the map super well, because I think the outer is still open for him down there in that bot side.
Could certainly still be an option. They do still have that outer, like you said. Then pouring everybody up towards this top side for right now. I don't know if they want to contest on the blue buff or what, but there's not too much available for the time being. Yeah, they're going to at least grab themselves that Scuttler, get themselves that little bit of additional vision. It's 2 minutes to go until Elder Dragon, and I mean, that's a fight that you're now a little bit worried about if you're Wang's Revenge. If you lose out on that and they steal the objective away, all that combat power shifts right over to Castleberry.
Yeah, and the one person that you're afraid of most, Nightstar, being as fed as he is, and for our complete items on Jinx at 28 minutes going into the next major fight, is just going to do extremely well as long as CV can keep peeling for him as well as they did in that last team fight.
Definitely 90 seconds to go on that count. Recalls coming on across. Leandri's done for Aj, getting the full 4-item spike. You call it 5-item spike. I don't know what point in a League of Legends game you start to count boots as an item. So, you know, you'll say that they're on 1 item when they have boots 2 and 1 item, but then at some point they have 6 items, even though they're still wearing the boots. So 4 or 5, whatever you prefer. And they are going to be absolutely the most dangerous player on the map right now. Nightstar has got to be the focus for both teams, either protecting or attacking. they're able to keep him safe, they will be able to use him to win out the game. And already just demolishing turrets. That's a two-man hook, though. It's going to take down Nightstar. It's an absolute disaster for Castleberry. And right before the Elder Drake spawns too, the chase down coming on across. Rapid going to be able to stun up Barlow. Barlow is down for the count. Castle trying to buy the extra space. Aj has access to the Spirit Rush. He's going to have to expend it to buy some space away from the bear. Geiger trying to create a distraction in the base as he starts pushing on in. But oh my goodness, Castleberry just lost out on so much of their power. Nightstar going to respawn right as the Elder Dragon does.
Yeah, that's why you're not supposed to frontline as an AD carry, but like Debonair just pulling out, just pulling that out right off the way, catching Nightstar and zero hesitation from the side of Wang, able to pull the trigger and maintain the immense pressure, and then just straight up punishing them. Now they have to walk into Wang's revenge as this elder dance is going on.
Yeah, and the ultimate's still available for Debonair. Crucially, going to be able to find Geiger here just to get the first little bits of poke damage. Nightstar waiting on the other side. He needs a front line. He needs the rest of the team to arrive, but Geiger kind of cut out. There's going to be the hook coming on in. It finds its way into Barlow. They're melting Barlow down. No cozy campfire for the rest of this fight, but now Nightstar is excited, stepping up. It's a 2-for-2, or a 1-for-1 rather. 2 members down total, as it's going to be a 4 versus 4 for this Elder Dragon. Again, very few cooldowns coming through from both sides. Damage coming through onto Aj on the other side. It's the force out from Wang's Revenge. They're going to be the first ones to touch the Elder. Geiger has to recall. He doesn't have all out. He doesn't have anything, and it looks like they're giving this one up.
And this is a real tough one to give up.
Forward, Castle's going to try to make something happen. He's got access to the Heartbreaker. It's a 5k HP. Aj diving in, finds his way out of Debonair. Debonair going to get focused on down while he's in the Demonic Ascension. He's still standing strong, though, draining on towards everybody. Castle going to drop here while the Elder is still alive. Nightstar's been found on the backside, and Castleberry are routed. The Elder Dragon will go over to Wang's Revenge. It's so light the entire game. 40-second death timers as they start to march on towards the base. Barlow's the only one alive, doing his best to cut off the minions.
Yeah, they could potentially just put open up this bot side lane here, move over to the Baron, and start cleaning it up that way. As soon as they get the Baron push, they could just march it right down mid and end the game right off the bat. I mean, but with Elder, they have just so much they just have so much pressure, and they have so much unanswerable pressure as that.
They definitely do. It's been so difficult to actually answer, and it's going to get even harder now that they have that additional execute damage. I mean, keep your eyes on that Elder buff and just how powerful it is going to be as they start to march on over towards Baron. I don't know if Castleberry have any chance of actually contesting this. It's going to be both epic buffs going over to Wang's Revenge. Going to be quite a while where they have full run of the map. So much of the advantage state that it felt like was in Castleberry's hands has just been thrown on away. They still have the powerful Jinx to play for, but these last couple of fights, Wang's Revenge have been able to come out on top. They are well equipped to be able to start up the Purple Worm.
The only option they have is like a rare CB Castle steal, but it looks like they're just giving it because they don't want to fight it. They know if one of them dies that they're just going to be pushed down to the end of the game. So they are just going to try and stall as best they can. Force feeding Aj as much as those super minions as he can get to get his next item.
For sure. Starting up the siege now, taking down the last remaining turrets. Trying their best to make this into a winnable situation for Castleberry. Wang's Revenge starting to move forward in through the top side. Going to have this full 5-on-5 siege. They still are wearing the Elder buff for at least a couple more seconds. Will drop on off there. Or no, it's actually got a minute left, so they're still going to be pretty powerful with it as they look to advance forward. See, as this fight is looking to break on out, the dive in from Rapid. Rapid going to start falling on down. Rapid actually gets one shot to start things off. Nightstar is excited, trying to rain down shots on the Debonair on the other side, slowing him on up with the red buff. There's going to be the zap landing as well. Debonair going to be the next one to fall on down. They're trying to take the fight around this ulting Swain. The Super Mega Death Rocket nearly takes him down. He's able to flash out to safety. Cerulean going to be the next target if they're able to take down one. Nightstar will get excited, but they all manage to escape. 4 members get away as what was nearly a disaster for Wang's Revenge will end up just being a small hiccup in their journey.
And being able to just like save their base right there, very well done. Delaying the game out as much as possible, because that's what they need. However, the fact that there is Zonia on Debonair, it's very difficult to kill the Swain. You're gonna have to like try and burst him out, but your next opportunity is in these moments because he's without those summoners. So as long as we're able to punish them, but you also on your own side of CB summonerless.
Definitely a risky proposition. If they had just been able to get that Debonair kill, it could have been another pop-off moment for Nightstar, but since they don't, they are going to have to continue to play on the back foot here. The risk of that Elder Dragon going to be looming overhead again before too long. 2 minutes to go on that one. 5-man siege still coming on through as they still do have access to the Baron buff. Geiger going to pull Rapid a little bit out of position, but not the engage that you need.
Yeah, they got to make a decision fast because of the supers pushing into the side lanes right now.
Really, really crucial for them to be able to make that happen. Will they be able to convert? Moving on once again, they are going to be able to get themselves that inner turret. Going to be able to buy themselves that additional space. Still trying to get this inhibitor taken on down. They've already claimed the 2 on the other side. It's so difficult to win from 3 inhibitors down. Geiger falling lower and lower, setting up for the fight. Nightstar gonna have to find the angles to shoot, but is so dangerous to step on forward when he could get hooked by one of multiple different champions here. Could even get stunned by Rapid. There's gonna be the hook not quite connecting. Castle still waiting around on the backside, but nobody can find a way in, and these minions are starting to become a real problem. Another dodge out on another hook. Geiger just falling lower and lower. The front line cannot withstand the pressure, and the 3rd inhibitor will fall down. Wang's Revenge playing this cold and calculated and not giving up anything.
Yeah, but that bot side inhibitor is going to spawn back up here shortly.
Oh, Castle. Stunned up by Rapid, trying to get himself out to safety. Boil the oils there for the backup on the other side. Castle going to have to Heartbreaker out, but he's going to get taken down by the Dawning Shadow. Geiger diving in to try to assist his jungler, but he's going to fall down here before too long as well. Nightstar flashes in. He's in the middle of everybody. Takes the blast cone back away, but Deathwalker going to be able to close it out. And that's it for Castleberry in game number 1. Wang's Revenge are going to come up 1-0 in the series. They take themselves to match point.
Yeah. And that's a really rough game for CB to lose, just because they were ahead all the way up until Nightstar getting caught out by Debonair. Like, I bet you he's beating himself up pretty hard right now. So we'll have to see how well CB does in terms of like a mental reset, just so that they're not like in a self-punishment, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely here, and that is going to be Castleberry falling down to 0-1. Wang's Revenge moving up to 1-0, and now going to have to execute 2 games in a row for Castleberry if they want to be able to move on. Wang's Revenge feeling comfortable after being able to close out that first game. They are going to see if they can take it down in just a couple here. But all around, I mean, fantastic performance there from the team, especially on those last pushes, just making sure that they don't give any opportunities for Castleberry to start that reset chain going, being able to keep Debonair safe, being able to keep Deathwalker in a damage dealing position. It was just really well done by them.
The entire game was very well played by both sides. It was definitely back and forth. It was extremely entertaining to watch, and with a lot on the line, like you said, if you lose here, you're out of the OQ tournament for until the summer starts, and it's a lot on the line for both of these teams who definitely want to make their names known. But
Absolutely.
Extremely strong starting performance from Wang's side.
Yeah.
However, there are, now that they can't grab that Senna, let's see how well they are able to adjust and see if they can't snag a different power pick in the bot lane.
Yeah, definitely. Fearless always throwing a big wrench into things as both teams going to have to bust out entirely new compositions. We're going to throw it to a quick break here while we get into draft for game number 2, but we will resume before too long as Castleberry takes on Wang's Revenge for the second time tonight.
I wish I could reach out. I wish I could scream out. I wish that someone can hear my silent screaming. Flying of my soul. I'm on the floor. The darker the dream, the darker the sky. I look up and I see something in the moonlight, the shadows in my head. Give in to the silence of emotions that I dread. Raise hell in my mind. Raise hell in my mind. And I try to weather the pain. I try, but it's always the same. I try, but I'm always the obstacle in the way. Turn it inside out. Let the secret out. The darker the dream, the darker the sky. I look up and I see something in the moonlight, the shadows in my head. Give in to the silence of emotions that I dread. Raise hell in my mind. Raise hell in my mind. Memories I wanna forget. Welcome my darkest hour. Welcome my darkest hour. Memories I wanna forget. I wanna forget. Something in the moonlight or the shadows in my head. Give in to the silence of emotions that I dread. Raise hell in my mind. Raise hell in my mind. Automatic illusion of control. So enigmatic. Buying everything who's to blame? I don't know. Are we both stuck in the same hole? No escape, nowhere to go from here, and it goes on and on, and we sing along. On and on, and we sing along. Guess I'm moving on. The circus never stops.
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the NACL Open Qualifiers GSL Group Stage here on the Aegis channel. We have got ourselves Wang's Revenge up 1-0 over Castleberry. CB choosing the red side for game number 2, so going to be a run back of those same sides. Wang's Revenge say thank you very much. We're pretty happy with how game number 1 went on these sides. We're going to be happy to run it back. Now they're going to adopt their bans, though, or adjust their bans, rather. They're going to take away the Senna as they recognize that the only team that can pick the Senna now is Castleberry. If you have no upside to be able to grab it for yourself, they don't really want to give it on up.
Yeah, but CB sticking with the same bans. Karma, I assume Ash is going to come out as well.
There it is.
And yeah, just making sure that there is no way that Deathwalker could be impactful in it possible. But a really good performance on seems to be the only adaptation so far coming in. The other 5 bans have been the same.
Yep, just running them back otherwise. So the thing that's left up now is the Hui that was banned away from Castleberry in game number 1. Wang's Revenge going to leave that one up for Aj this time in order to make sure that that Senna is taken away. And there's that Oriana snagged on up for Debonair. Going to give him the first pick this time after having relegated him to round 2 and did pretty good on the Swain with the opportunity. So now going to be on one of these prized meta champions. Now checking on out, there's going to be a Yone lock-in for the side of Castleberry. We're going to have to find out what they're going to want to take in addition, as that could be the matchup up against the Oriana. It's definitely something we've seen before. That's very possibly going to be for Aj. Could also be flexed up top for Geiger, if that is what the situation calls for. And there's going to be the Sejuani locked in to support it. So a little melee lane plus Sejuani duo, going to be the old classic.
Yeah, and this is going to be very, very useful just because you're able to get those frost stacks going pretty well with a melee champion. But Oriana does do well into Wei, so pairing that with something like the Nocturne, able to get into that backline or front line, any type of ball delivery system is going to work very well into this.
Yeah, and the Nocturne Oriana, I mean, that's a favorite of Wang's Revenge. This is the comp that they were playing when they were able to take their game over Ole Miss last week. So you got to be very happy to be able to run this one back. They did have Smolder in that game. The Smolder not going to be an option this time. Instead, they're going to grab themselves the Zaya. This is going to pretty much demand a Rakan ban out of Castleberry unless they want to snag it for themselves.
Yeah, Rakan is just so well, even without the Zaya, an extremely strong pick. And pairing it with the champion, especially with an all-in, being able to secure as much. But we didn't see that Udyr last game at all. So it going top, Yone is the mid lane challenge for that Oriana. It seems to be Aj's answer as we go into our second round of bans. Most likely, like you said, seeing that Rakan.
Definitely. I'm excited to see how Aj does piloting this assassin, right? I think he's been a Yasuo player in the past and a Kali player as well. I think that's where I've seen some of the most exciting stuff out of Aj. So going to be interesting to see how his Yone is going to be able to do. There's that Rakan ban we called out earlier on. Tom Kench coming on away from Wang's Revenge as well, deciding, hey, you know, if you're going to go for that hyper carry style that we know you prefer, and you're not going to have access to the Tom Kench for it, we'll see if they are going to dip over to that Zeri, maybe. I mean, that might be the only one left up, as the Smolder's already been banned. Varus taken on off the board. You can't pick Jinx again, so will it even be banned? I mean, people are starting to like the Sivir as well after the +4 armor on the last patch, so maybe that's going to be the option.
You could also go for Kalista Renata in this bot lane as well, just because there's a lot of disengaged potential with that champion, and that's something that you want playing into an Ori Nocturne, but we'll see how they play this.
Absolutely. The Lulu ban as well. So just banning away some of those safety supports there that would make it a little bit more difficult for your Nocturne Oriana combo to have the most success possible. There's that Zeri we talked about, and Castleberry will lock it in. They want Nightstar to be able to scale up and be their carry once again. Was so close to being able to do it on the Jinx last game. Now going to be piloting this area in an effort to replicate that success and maybe take it that little inch further, be able to get themselves a win and take us to a game number 3. Wang's revenge now. They've got to round out their draft. They can't pick the Nautilus again, notably, who's often the other pick that goes alongside the Xayah. There's the set. This was played last week by Boil the Oil in that Nocturne Orianna comp. They just really like how these champions interact together, and they're going to be happy to pick it up against the Udyr.
Yeah, because if you're unable to get it on the Nocturne, you're able to use the ball on the side who is going to want to ult in for the as maximum damage possible, especially onto a beefier lane like the Sejuani or the Udyr into these fights. And man, Shockwave is just going to be extremely powerful. They decided to go for the Renata here, giving Xayah that safety net. And this looks like it's going to be a little bit of a draft differential.
Yeah, I like it. I like the pairing of the Renata alongside the Nocturne as well. You know, a lot of times when the Nocturne goes in for the engage, it's kind of a one-way trip. This does a good job of being able to confirm that you are going to be able to keep on fighting if you got that bailout coming out. And the Soraka will be the selection to support this Zeri. So deciding, hey, you're going to take away the Lulu, you're going to take away the Tahm Kench. You've pinched the support options as much as possible, but we still got one more in the tank, and it is going to be that Soraka.
Yeah, and Soraka just provides a lot of utility. There's not a lot of casters on the side of Wang, so I don't know how well the silence is going to be outside of just inside team fights where everyone's grouped up. But just being able to be a heal bot is exactly what CB needs. Anything to keep Night Stalker alive as long as possible to deal out the damage. But he's got to get through this front. He's got to get through the set and Nocturne, who are gonna quite literally punch him in the face.
Yeah, and he's gonna have to be real worried about the Nocturne Orianna combo. I mean, that's always what you got to be notable, what you got to be clocking in these kinds of games, especially with how prominent that pairing has become and how good everybody's gotten at being able to time those combos. And when that's so omnipresent here, it's just one of those things. It's just like the Vi, really. It takes more abilities. It takes a little bit more team cohesion than being able to just press cease and desist and lock down that Zeri. But it's the same kind of the same kind of underlying concept, right? You got a targeted ability, launching a jungler in at your face, and you're going to get CC'd once it connects with you. This one going to do even a little bit more damage. Once it does, you're not going to be able to survive if that combo comes across correctly, perhaps even through Barlow's healing. So you just got to put yourself into positions where it's just not profitable for them to be able to take those sorts of engages.
Yeah, it's just going to be extremely difficult, mostly because Barlow is going to just sit in the back line. Hopefully him and Nightstar learned their lesson not to frontline team fights when they're ahead. And on Soraka, you're never going to want to be in front. But Geiger definitely going to want to probably go through the split push option and then join a team fight after a wave is pushed. Just trying to get that Udyr special going. I honestly have not seen much of it versus Set. So I'm really excited to see how Boil Oil can bring it up about it since he did play it last week.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I'm not sure if when they played it last week, it was up against the Udyr from Ole Miss. I did not get to check that. So that's going to be an interesting question. Either way, I mean, the way that this draft transpired shows that he's at least willing to play it into the Udyr, even if maybe he doesn't think it's the most optimal pick in the world. Question is just going to be, are they going to be able to like execute on it? And how well do they think that this actually serves into the Udyr? You know, or they be able to find these kinds of angles where they can carry him back into the team, or Castle? I mean, those are both great targets to be able to isolate if you're able to find them. Or is this going to actually be a successful lane counter, or is it just kind of something where you're trying to survive and have that value later on?
Well, I think it's going to be akin to game one, where they did pick. They made this pick into knowing what the enemy champion was playing, right? We knew last game it was Cassante top, and they willingly went to the Aatrox, and all he did was survive all the way up until Debonair was a raid boss and was able to start impacting afterwards. And I think that's what's going to happen here, especially since Geiger can actually push the wave without having to be in the wave. whereas Set is only going to have so much answer to that. But where the strengths of Set lies is not going to be in the lane. It's going to be in those team fights, especially since he'll be able to heal, engage, and like also stop engages and maximize his damage.
Absolutely, Dobby. The ability to actually pump out a huge amount of damage, even when you might be a little bit more tank optimized on the set, always something you got to be aware of. I mean, these are going to be some real mobile carries in Nightstar and Aj, but at least giving you the ability to pump out that damage onto maybe some of the frontline targets, or even onto somebody like Barlow, going to be so massive. Or if you've got the additional CC coming in from somebody else, pairing on up with something like that hostile takeover or that shockwave, there's definitely really powerful wombo combo potential here from the side of Wang's Revenge if they are able to execute. We are onto the riff for game number 2. Wang's Revenge, 1 win away from being able to make it towards that final qualification match and eliminate Castleberry. Castleberry trying to force a game number 3 tonight to keep themselves alive in OQ number 2.
Yeah, and they're just going for a standard 5-point here, just being able to slow the game down, the series down. They don't really want to go for anything. Neither team has a lot of good invade potential here either as well. But name of the game, find out where either Castle Rapid is starting so that they can track that jungle. It looks like they're both going to be starting towards the top side, so maybe around 3 or 4 minutes we'll see a spicy 3v3 in the bot lane.
Spicy 3v3 definitely in the cards here. Going to be a little bit of a calm standoff here in the early game, at least so far. We'll see if there's going to be any attempt at a delayed invade or anything of the sort, but does just look like it's going to be that one defensive ward placed up by Castle's red buff just to make sure that the invade is not coming on through from Rapid. Castle kind of changing styles here quite significantly from game number 1. Now going to be on the Sejuani, maybe going to not quite crave those invades quite as much as he did on the Viego, where I think early game especially was able to build up a pretty substantial lead, but they just weren't able to carry it through into those team fights. The Swain making that especially difficult.
Yeah, the Swain was so oppressive. There wasn't a lot of answers into it. They didn't really get heal cut until way too late, and he was just able to survive a lot of it anyway. But here, Orianna can't just stand in the middle of everyone and pray to live. That's going to be Boil the Oil's job for these team fights.
Absolutely. See how Boil the Oil is going to be able to do that one, but these early levels, you always hear about how strong Udyr is here, and he's showing it right there. Even tanks the full Haymaker and is still coming out ahead. I mean, the regen that you get from that double turtle stance, or what is it? It's boar stance now. That's just absolutely nuts.
Thank you, Ryan, for changing the things that I knew about. But he's just straight up dominating this 1v1, and we see that Castle and Rapid are both pathing towards the top side of the map, probably trying to get Boil the Oil away from being hit so much, but with Castle also being extremely well at invading in invading the jungles, he will have a lot of pressure and safety.
Absolutely will. Ooh, a little bit of a fight breaking out in mid lane now. They're going to be able to land the stun here on towards Debonair before too long. He is dropping lower and lower. May very well go down, but is going to be able to get out in time. Aj and Castle, though, coming in with the collapse, nearly able to make that play happen. Now going to be a little bit of a focus coming on up here towards the top side to make sure that they're going to be able to secure this Scuttle Crab. The first one will be going over towards Castle without too much trouble. Debonair just going to TP back to lane. It doesn't end up mattering too much, but Geiger continuing to make this Udyr a problem in the top lane.
Yeah, and he seems to have his mark back onto Debonair now that he's flashless. And you see Debonair focusing to this, going to the side where he has a Rapid on the side of the map, just being a little bit cautious. As soon as he gets out of position, with Castle's flash, it could definitely be something that right there.
Ooh, coming on forward. Ooh, nice flash there. Going to be able to keep himself from getting CC'd, but the Twain is going to come on through one way or the other. Castle, though, getting a lot of damage returned onto him. Rapid trying to chase him down, looking for that first blood. Gonna get stunned, but Duskbringer lands home and takes Castle down. First blood to Wang's Revenge.
Yeah, that's rough. Aj's flash actually missed Debonair, so he wasn't able to get the knockup that forced Castle to flash in to get the permafrost, and then Rapid reading it completely already there. Stopping
here too. Geiger gonna get punished here as well. I mean, this is lethal tempo Nocturne, but here's Aj for the backup. Now outnumbered and outgunned. Wang's Revenge gonna try to back away. The stun not quite in range for Castle, and that means Rapid's gonna be able to run back up through the top lane, regroup with Boil the Oil, and get the recall off.
Yeah, they're seeming to be a little bit out of sync here. The desynchronous movement from Castle and Aj is not what we saw in game 1. But Rapid reading Castle like a book there, able to get the counter gank off, getting himself that first blood, and also able to create a lot of pressure, forcing Geiger to run away. I think he had to force his Ghost out.
Definitely. Nightstar waiting over the walls. He's gonna try to interrupt this recall. No, he's just going back on over towards farming. Did not have a clear line of sight on Deathwalker. We're gonna return to our old business. Geiger still feeling very strong, especially as the first one to tick up to level 6, and Castle going to take advantage of that to be able to secure himself the grubs. A little bit of a replay from last game when all is said and done, except that first blood going over to Wang's Revenge this time.
Yeah, but with all the grub pressure that they're prioritizing here, I was kind of hoping that we'd see a lot more pushing with it, but it seems that they just weren't able to going into the first game. So how they're able to like transition that into this game is definitely something I look forward to seeing, especially since you're not exactly winning every lane outside of Geiger.
Yeah, absolutely. Geiger, you can see he's swapping over to that bear, formerly known as Tiger stance, threatening to be able to get that bonus execute damage right onto Boil the Oil. When his health bar is this low, I mean, you can get surprised and end up a little bit bursted out sooner than you might have expected in these sorts of matchups. So Geiger going to be able to keep Boil the Oil on the back foot and build up this lead, as well as stack up a pretty sizable wave for him to be able to take a nice comfortable recall.
But the pressure that is coming out of the bot side, they're able to get Castle onto that dragon first, having Aj move down. So hopefully seeing probably a 4v4 over this objective. Or they might just all back away from it.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't traded this time. Rapid was not in position to be able to go up there and take that dragon while the grubs fell. So yeah, a chance to get the old double objective here for Castleberry. Castle would certainly love to be able to secure that for his squad, and he is in the area. They're going to spot this Nocturne on the Speed Shrine as he comes over to start it up, but is the 4-on-4 in the cards? Aj still pushed in mid lane. Nightstar and Barlow pushed in as well. Looks like they're just going to give it up.
Yeah, the waves are in a really bad position for them. They have no other answer but to give it up, and just can't miss out on all that gold, or they can't let themselves get pressured in like that.
Definitely. Good trade still coming on across the top side, though, for Geiger. Going to the old extended objective trade. Took a little bit longer than it might in other scenarios, but all in all, it's just fine for both sides. Nightstar, though, doing a good job in this lane as the Zeri, coming out ahead in CS, and know how much of a menace she's going to be later on. And the fact that they're stacking up that Cull as well, that certainly feels pretty good. Rapid going to come here to try to make things a little bit less fair. Cerulean still not quite level 6, though. Could end up making a difference. They've got Debonair as well to be able to pull off the full combo, but Nightstar and Barlow wisely backing away. They don't know where mid is, they don't know where the jungle is, and they're paying it that respect.
Yeah, really smart just from there. With Rapid being 6, it can be anywhere on the map, even outside of your vision. You don't really want to press too far without that safety net of your own jungle there for a counter gank. So just being able to safely go as we see a dive towards them.
Yeah, 3-member collapse. Geiger going to be able to land the stun. Good dodge from Debonair to get away from the Fate Sealed. And now they've got to disengage. There's going to be the combo missing from Rapid and Debonair. So Shockwave not finding its mark either. They're going to try to pull back in Geiger. He's trying to sustain back up with the turtle stance. Going to come back up. Walking out here will finally go on down to boil the oil, but they've had to spend so much additional time. Hostile takeover across 3 members. Tries to turn the fight back around, but Aj still strong here. Still in that soul unbound. Gets the swipe across 3. Takes him low. Nightstar looking to move forward and execute anybody he can find. Cerulean is so low, but will be able to keep standing. Deathwalker flashes in with a feather pull. It takes Nightstar down. It's 4-1 on the scoreboard in favor of Wang's Revenge.
Yeah, and it just really, like, Aj was not following up there, making sure that Nightstar was basically doing everything on their own. And Geiger, I don't know what he was doing, but the way he walked back in, just face checked 3 people right outside of the darkness. It was just miserable for him. Yeah, but Marlowe tried so hard to save him, got the ultimate, lived longer than he should have, and what looked like a really good team fight turned bad real quickly just due to more desynchronous movements.
Might be a little bit of a grub battle here. Castle going to be able to get the 4th for his squad, but the 5th is what you really want, and Boil the Oil and Rapid are here to defend. Teleport in from Aj. This is going to be too late to actually be able to contest this. He's going to be able to grab his wave, but it is going to be the old 4-2 throw count for either side. You're going to be just fine with that if you're Wang's Revenge, given the position you find yourself in the game. That first Dragon stack secured as well. No mites to have to deal with this time.
Yeah, and this is exactly what Wang wants. They don't really want CB to have anything that they can get back into the game with. Just as we saw in game 1, like as soon as they were to get any sort of pressure, because of those 6 scrubs, they were able to just like straight up abuse it. Got a lot of towers and a lot of standing gold. But that being denied from them this game, they're still going to have some damage done just because they have 4, but it's definitely well done to have it minimized.
Absolutely here. You're continuing to farm it up here. I mean, the gold lead is still very, very close, even faintly favoring CB. Ooh, there's going to be the full engage from Rapid. No Shockwave coming alongside that Paranoia this time, and that's 2 Paranoias used without being able to secure a kill. A little bit rough for Rapid here, but as I was saying earlier, I mean, the gold's dead even, and a lot of that's because of all the CS lead that's been built up by CB Gaming, especially in the bottom lane, but in the mid lane too. Aj falling lower and lower, but they're just setting up for the dive. They're going to be able to take down Debonair. Good clapback by Castleberry. So they are starting to cash out in mid lane.
And they looked like they were trying to get the play, but they just prepping it so that Aj can get it all by himself in this. But Debonair being dead and not having his ultimate, it means that CB can prep this second dragon if they want to, but it doesn't look like they're doing anything other than resetting. 30 seconds left.
Ooh. Almost interrupting that recall out of Aj, even sending one of those clockwork wind-up autos all the way back to the base. Debonair will not be able to stop it. Was still in that little protected period of time during the recall. Kessel getting pushed out of his own jungle now as Wang's Revenge want to be able to secure themselves some objectives. Smite fight goes the way of Rapid.
Yeah, but we have a TP from Geiger coming in, and no way for Boyle to answer without his TP.
Yeah, Deathwalker gonna get run down here, goes up into the Featherstorm, but will be dropping here before too long. Geiger gonna be able to claim that kill, running him down with ease on the Udyr and getting the scoreboard even more in favor of Castleberry. They're about at a 1k gold lead now. They're set up for Nightstar to be able to just hammer into this bottom lane, get some additional turret plates, and build up that lead. Meanwhile, Boil the Oil wasn't even in top lane. Looked like he was trying to cheat down towards the bottom side, and this means they don't even get anything back on that side of the map.
Yeah, and they're able to maximize, get a lot of plates on the Nightstar as well, even further building that difference. Like, he's up 35 CS, getting his 4th plate. They have gotten their first dragon here, and it just happens to be an ocean. Just a lot of power going into this Zeri.
So much of it for sure is attempted defense on the bottom side. Looks like it might result in a dive from Castleberry. Castle hanging around on that side, but not decided to commit. Doesn't quite have the ultimate back up yet. It's going to be there any second. Now it is up. Just a little bit too late and deciding that they don't want to go for any more than they have to, channeling the recall instead. This has been so much gold funneled over to Castleberry in the last couple of moments, though. A couple of turret plates mid, couple of turret plates bot. Turret plates top already having been secured earlier on, right as they drop. And first turret here going to follow before too long. Nightstar's just got to get a couple of pecks in there, and there it goes. A bunch of extra gold into Castleberry.
Yeah. But without this mid-top pressure, Nocturne is able to go for this Rift Tower freely, and Castle being late on that recall just means that there's no answer they have here.
Certainly. Deathwalker now finds himself set so far behind. Gonna be really tough to have that big influence in these mid-game fights that you really need. The carries are set so far behind for Wang's Revenge across the board. And with already their dragon stacking being interrupted by Castle and Co. against this hard scaling composition with the Yone and the Zeri, it feels like Wang's Revenge are in a very tough position. Going in for a play on the Geiger here, calling up Debonair. There's the shockwave back on the Geiger, and they should be able to get this one. That goes over to Boiled Oil.
Yeah, really good there. Really good play. Then they're going to be able to translate this into a top turret as well, and stopping the Geiger, excuse me, from doing his typical split push. And Boiled Oil, 3 kills, like set in a position to carry for the side of Wang. Just very well done, and does seem to be the answer into Endear at this point, the way he's playing.
Definitely here, at the very least, able to build up a lead for himself, and is going to be a critical piece of Wang's Revenge's ability to team fight their way out of this deficit. Rapid finding Aj on the other side off the back of his teleport. Now has Boil the Oil coming on over for the assist, but doesn't look like they'll be able to make the collapse. But at the very least, they're getting themselves some alone time with topside turret, and Debonair should be able to claim this one.
Yeah, but they did manage to get the set TP out as well, and it looks like they're in a position to get this mid turret, opening up the map a lot sooner than they did in game 1, which will give them a little bit more pressure as the second dragon spawns 2 minutes. But having the bot side turrets up for the side of CB does give them a lot more control. And if you look into their the mini map, you see a lot of wards placed as well. So knowing where every movement is going through the bot side jungle does give them all the information they need in order to move.
Does for sure. Setting up now for that dragon, like we said, in about a couple of minutes. Nothing else really left up on the map, but spending that gold from the turrets they've been able to take down. 2 items already for Nightstar feels very, very good coming into fighting for dragon number 3, especially in comparison to just the components. Deathwalker just finishes his first. He's so far behind in a bot lane that doesn't feel like it's had a huge amount of action centered around it. It's just been Barlow and Nightstar doing really well. That Enchanter into Renata lane coming up big for them.
Yeah, the Soraka doing very well. Just being a little heal bot, making sure there's no chance for Nightstar to get pushed out. And because there's just so much pressure that the Soraka can give, Nightstar is just able to freely farm, not having to back. And it does give credence to the fact that he was able to get 2 items, especially as the next objective fight will happen here in a minute.
Definitely has that extra gold from the completed stacked up. I cannot think of what the stacking item's called, but either way, here's the engage coming on through. That's going to be the combo on towards Rapid, or from Rapid rather, on towards Aj. Not quite going to be able to finish it on off.
I don't know if you saw Debonair sombreroed.
Oh, did he? Oof.
Yes. So not having that ultimate available either. It is on a relatively short cooldown, but as this dragon spawns, all the pressure of that combination is gone and gives CB the opening they need to take this dragon freely.
Absolutely here. Now setting up on towards the dragon, going to be spawning here in just a couple of moments, and without access to that engage combo, Wang's Revenge feeling like they are at a massive disadvantage. They're not even going to show up to the dragon fight. There is no dragon fight, there's just a dragon take. Yeah, we'll go over to Castleberry. Now setting up on towards Geiger on this top side. They've got 3 members. They've got the Rift Herald. They want to be able to cash it out with an inner turret at the very least. The wave gets cleared out pretty fast, but I don't know what Geiger's going to be able to do. Oh no! Boil the Oil crashes it right into the wall. They don't get the bonus damage. They don't get all the extra Void Mites. They're going to get pushed off. I don't think they're going to be able to get this,
the
Dobby.
crash. They completely flubbed that. They were Boiled Oil drove it so poorly that the Rift Herald didn't even want to hit the turret.
Oh no! I mean, oh, that's just rough. I mean, you got to give them a little bit of a break. The driving mechanics on the Herald feel messy. They feel not exactly the most user friendly in the world. But yeah, it looks like must have just been an extra click towards the bottom after they clicked on the eye initially, and they just face planted right in the wall. They throw that car in reverse and they immediately hit the car behind them. Cannot get the driving on across the way that you would want. Now gonna have to walk away without that juicy inner turret gold that they were really hoping to be able to secure for themselves. And meanwhile, an extra dragon goes over the way of Castleberry.
Yeah, the fact that they weren't able to answer that with a cross map play is just a misplay in itself. They had the ability to do it, just the execution wasn't there. But the next major objective on the board right now is Baron, but not a lot of take potential, especially with Deathwalker being a full item behind.
Yeah, definitely not. Now going to have a little bit of extra time here just to continue farming on up, continue getting your Zeri as strong as you possibly can. Already has that additional BF sword, and you know, if they're not going to fight you for the objectives, you don't have to fight. You're pretty comfortable just continuing to be in control, continuing to scale on up, and it's on Wang's revenge to be able to piece together these fights. And it's like they've not been able to execute the ulti combos. They have not been able to find the flanks. They just haven't been able to get much of anything going.
Yeah, and they just don't seem to be having any answers. They're trying so hard to get the Paranoia Shockwave combo off on Aj, but like he's just able to get back to safety easy every time. Just utilizing his own ultimate, just completely negating everything they're doing. And it doesn't seem that like Rapid and Debonair are always on the same page, just based off of that last one where Debonair completely whiffed his Shockwave, which led for CB to get Dragon freely without any fight.
Absolutely. Gonna need to start executing on those much better very, very soon, or this is just going to get completely out of control. Boil the Oil still been one of the best performers here, been able to come out ahead and successful in the set lane, but the set versus Udyr lane was not the part that made or break this game. Is going to have to be execution on the team fights from the carries to actually be able to take down some of these critical members from Castleberry.
Yeah, but it's literally just a fight in the top lane. They're just constantly doing their own thing. However, what they really need to do is get Boil the Oil to get into these team fights. Like the last couple, he hasn't had his TP for them, and it's shown. Like the fact that he's not in these fights allows for CB to start winning these things, and the gold lead isn't so excessive that Wang can't fight or contest anything. They're still ahead in kills. They're doing very well around the map, making sure that Boil Oil can be useful. Just he needs to get in these fights. He needs to bring in Castle or Geiger into the rest of the team and completely showstop, like be the showstopper we know him.
Really does here. Breaking out on towards the bottom now, keeping multiple members around here. They know it's 45 seconds to go until Dragon time. They want to be the ones to set up their vision to be able to make sure it can be secured as easily as possible. Got plenty of vision already. You can see that triangle of wards on towards Wang's Revenge's red side of the jungle, just making sure that each and every angle will be fully visible to Castleberry as they get their last couple of resets done, making sure that they are going to be as wealthy as possible. They have the TP available on Aj. He gets his last couple of purchases in, and it is going to be time for this battle before too long. already taking those hex gates to be able to get back to the fight. Although first ones in the river are Wang.
Yeah, and notably, Deathwalker does have his Navori now, so he is in it with his second item. But Nightstar has the IE as well, so another full item up ahead. And Geiger with a nice team fight.
Yeah, Geiger coming on in off the TP, going to be able to come on in. They did manage to get the stun on a Deathwalker, but the follow-up damage just wasn't there. And it's Geiger actually a little bit far away from the rest of the team. There's the dive in from Aj, trying to get out of Deathwalker. Going to have to snap back to his soul, though. It's Boil the Oil's left on the back line, going to come in with a big haymaker. The Dragon does get secured, but what about the follow-up fight? Is two members going to drop in an instant? And Debonair, Deathwalker, and Rapid have got to get themselves the hell out of here. They're going to use that dissonance to try to give themselves the additional movement speed. Nightstar trying to chase him down. Not going to be able to find a target, though. It's a 2-for-0 fight in a favor of Castleberry, but it doesn't mean too much as they don't get to secure the Dragon.
No, but it does put him in a position to go for this Baron. The fact that Carillion and Boyle are out, and there is a lot of damage potential on Nightstar, that they can just straight up take this for free. There's no paranoia or stop or answer from the side of Wang.
Yeah, it's not going to stop Wang from trying to approach. They're calling over 3 members. They're going to walk on over here. It's already at 4k HP, though. They might just be too late. Geiger marking them. Aj comes over the wall. He actually flashed in for this. Really only going to be able to buy a couple of spaces of additional space, but there's going to be the KO found onto Barlow. Barlow going to be able to fall down, so that is going to be 1 kill back over to Wang and the Dragon, but they lose out on the Baron and the fight.
Yeah, and that seems to be like an angry flash from Rapid, like anger at himself that like they were able to get the objective and just really wanted to kill Barlow. I don't think he was gonna get out of there. It's just
ooh, dive in from Aj, nearly finding his way onto Debonair, and see these fights are just getting hard. The amount of damage that can be put out from Nightstar and Aj is so substantial, and it takes them so long to be able to work through somebody like Geiger. That was where all those resources went to the last fight. It just did not matter. Barlow's back on up, returning to the scene of the crime with a redemption complete. And a gold lead for CB, setting them up to be so powerful in this fight. They're starting things off. There's the dive in from Rapid, but he doesn't have access to the Shockwave combo. Shockwave connects on a Nightstar anyway, though. He's going to pop the ultimate and try to get back away. They are going to be able to land hostile takeover over across most of the members, but the damage, it's just not there. Boil the Oil, going to be able to take down Aj, though, launching himself into the back line, taking down Geiger. Nightstar, though, stepping forward, firing off the Rapid shots. Already has a double kill, and he's hunting down a third. Boil the Oil, 1 versus 3 in the back, going to get taken down here before too long. Geiger claims that kill. It's a 3-for-1 fight for Castleberry as they start to march down mid lane.
Yeah, and it started off so well for Wang's Revenge too. That hostile takeover completely dividing everything. They were able to get the kill right onto Aj, but the entire backline of Wang was just decimated by Nightstar, unanswered and unstoppable in that team fight.
Yeah, and you know what? They landed both the ultimates onto him. They took that paranoia in on, but Rapid quickly found himself outmatched and had to back away. And then they managed to land just the raw Shockwave onto Nightstar as well. Not able to escape that one. But it's just a little bit of poke damage at the end of the day. He shrugs it off, he backs up, he pops the ultimate for the movement speed, kites it out, and then re-engages later, just crushing the team fight. And Wang's Revenge now completely on the back foot. They have lost their inhibitor turret in mid lane. This next Dragon fight, it feels like Castleberry are just getting more and more and more favored as time goes on. They're more ahead than ever.
Yeah, and I think it's also attributed to Debonair's build pathing as well. It seems more attuned to survivability and damaging the tanks than it is to bursting out these squishies from the team fights. So, like you said, it was just poke damage, and there wasn't real threat there even when he was hit by it, especially because it wasn't synchronous. Like the fear wasn't landed with the Shockwave, so Nightstar able to maneuver around that team fight very well. And we're now 4 items on Zeri, and that 4 item is a shield bow, so just that extra survivability on her right now as well, just in a perfect position to carry. Hopefully he's not going to get caught out like he did in game 1. He has been dominating in this series.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only dream left for Wang's Revenge, right? Is that every piece comes together, they burst out Nightstar, and then they can use this very strong set. I mean, Set was able to survive for a very long time. They were able to get Aj in that fight at the very least, keep him held down, but Nightstar, it is going to be his show for the remainder of this game. 4 items deep on the Zeri. 30 seconds to go on this next dragon. Do you even try to contest this if you're Wang's Revenge? It's not the soul. Maybe just going to try to keep on farming and try to get yourself to 3rd item power spikes for Debonair and Deathwalker.
If I'm on the side of Wings, I'm just split pushing in the top side of the map. There's no answer that they have 6,000 gold behind versus a Zeri this fed until they're able to maximize their damage outputs. Each player is down a full item on their opponent's side.
Definitely. So, as you suggested, Davi, they're going to take themselves up to the top lane. There's that turret that they almost dropped off the Rift Herald earlier on. Hate to open up old wounds there, but definitely would have liked that little 700 gold bonus maybe a little bit earlier in the game. Either way, they're going to be able to secure it now. Getting a bunch more gold out of the Orianna in particular. It's definitely not something that they are going to hate. And just continuing to funnel farm at a Deathwalker in mid lane as well. It's all going to be about these power spikes, finding them in time for the follow-up play. To be able to take one critical fight that maybe can swing the game back to their favor.
Yeah, and there's a lot of standing gold on this side as well. They have the option to take those outer turrets from CB, but there's just no safety net for them. They don't have any vision. They have to ward their own side just to move freely and not get caught out. And then CB have that safety net of those towers, so like they are able to pull the trigger at any point and start a team fight. And Baron spawning here relatively soon. We're way past the 20-minute mark, but we're able to get those buffs as well for the team. Anything they can do to deny extra gold from Wang by stealing out their jungle is just going to propel them even further ahead.
Absolutely. They're going to work on towards this inner turret. They're going to be able to pick that one up, equalize for what they lost on their own top side, and now a 6k gold lead going to continue to be maintained. 3 minutes to go until they're going to be able to contest for that soul, and at least some of the items starting to come on through. I mean, those 3-item power spikes for Debonair and Deathwalker, they've come on through now. It's going to be in time for Castleberry to start up this Baron. This might be the time to try to contest if you can. You've got yourself access to that Shadow Flame on Debonair. Lord Dominic's for Deathwalker. They're stepping on up. They have the full combos available. They need to get Debonair on over here, though, to be able to shield on up. Rapid going to be able to steal away the Baron as now the fight breaking out in earnest. There's going to be a feather storm across the rest of the team. Aj is going to be the first one to drop, and they're going to carry into the back line. Geiger, Nightstar kiting back into the jungle, has to try to advance forward and land some shots here, keeping them low. Finds Debonair, jumps over the wall. Debonair going to flash back onto the other side. Cast going down to Deathwalker, but look at Nightstar. He's popping off on the back line. Takes down 2, and he wants the full penta here. Deathwalker is going to be the next target as he goes down for the triple kill. Nightstar comes in for the cutoff. Foil the oil, focusing him down. There's the quadra. There's the pentakill for Nightstar. Claims it for Castleberry, and he's going to take this to a game number 3.
Yeah, Nightstar, such a well done team fight there. And the fact that everything was split up, Nightstar once again, once he survives that initial burst, they're not doing anything to focus him, which is surprising because he's the only true threat on that team. Everyone else is just a nuisance. He is the carry.
And carry he did. That fight was looking so shady, especially when Aj ended up falling down so early, and especially when Rapid stole away the Baron. This was the best hope that Wang's Revenge had in so long. And Nightstar just slams the door shut. A pentakill to him. The game is not over quite yet, but it feels that way if you're Wang's Revenge here. You had everything come up heads, the perfect team fight opportunity, and Nightstar just said no.
Yeah, and it was so well done too, how he was able to just able to maneuver from point to point and get on top of them. Ended it very well with the pentakill. Rapid trying to steal it away from him, just they didn't have the damage to deal with it. It just goes back to being down on these items and then having weird item pathings that makes you feel like they're not maximizing damage potential.
Yeah, and not coming up with quite enough there. Now it is the full siege onto the bottom side. 2 inhibitors already down. 3 going to be the goal. Dragon Soul going to be up in 45 seconds here. And Castleberry, they are in such a favorable position. It feels like they can do no wrong. They are going to be keeping this push going. Wish they were wearing the Baron buff. They unfortunately are not able to do that due to the great play from Rapid, but that is the only kind of solitude that can be found there by Wang's Revenge. They are going to move on in, looking maybe to see if they can find a cute little pick here while they see Aj in mid lane, but Castleberry, they back away. It's Dragon Soul time.
Yeah, just securing this soul here. They have all the pressure in the world from those open inhibitors. They don't really need to actively do anything about it, but Wang, I don't know if they have the power to stop it, but they could at least answer with some of these towers.
Going to start things off. There's going to be the Dragon. There's going to be the engage. They find their way on towards a critical target. That's going to be Barlow taken out of the fight nice and early on. Wang's Revenge trying to see if they can fight this one front to back. They're going to focus on down Geiger. Geiger staying alive for so very long. Deathwalker finally able to find the Feather Pool. Going to be able to take them down. It's a 5 versus 3. But Nightstar is the one you got to be worried about. Raining the shots back on the other side as Castle is taken so low. Aj jumping in, finding Debonair, trying to one-shot him, but going to lose much more of his health than he takes of theirs. The smite comes on down, but it does not connect. It's actually Deathwalker who takes away the Dragon, and now is going to get his team on a soul point, and they're looking to finish off this fight. This is the best chance they've had, and Deathwalker going to be able to claim Castle. Nightstar trying to pop off again, but Boil the Oil's on the other side. Nightstar goes legendary as he takes down 1, he takes down 2, he takes down 3, and Nightstar refuses to say die once again until he jumps right into Rapid's face and gives over the shutdown.
Yeah, really good wherewithal there for Rapid to secure that kill, but like them immediately deleting Barlow made the best possible chance they had to get it, and Deathwalker was also able to steal the Dragon itself as well, delaying that soul, make themselves on soul point, getting this game, and so much standing gold was taken, so now they're only 4,000 behind. Nightstar still so far ahead, has an additional 700 gold bounty on him.
Oh, Rapid a little caught out here, maybe overstayed his welcome with that low HP bar. He's gonna be down. That's a 50-second death timer. And CB, once Night starts back around, they might do something with that.
Yeah, I don't know how much they're gonna be able to do, just because Nightstar getting to that side of the map is also gonna take a little bit of time, but potentially just getting that bot side turret, opening that inhibitor as well. Maximizing that pressure of the bot side of the map as Baron is coming up as well in the next minute.
Yeah, Hex Gates are a hell of a drug though. Nightstar making quite a bit of distance up here. Still 15 seconds left on Rapid. Nightstar will be able to join this one here before too long. The minion wave is just falling down way too fast. They will not be able to keep that push going. They're going to have to wait a little bit longer. They see Deathwalker catching the top side wave, but just deciding, you know what, it's not worth it. We got Baron up in 30 seconds. We're going to make our way up towards that side of the map.
Anything they can do, get down some of this vision. Barlow's going to have to reset with only 1 left on that support item. So just being able to light it up as best as possible, see where they're coming in is necessary, but maybe just doesn't have enough time now.
Certainly the risk. Geiger going to be the first one to spot out the approaching Wang's Revenge team. Over the wall comes Aj, not going to find anything. Instead, they're looking for the fight. Here comes the hostile takeover, only going to land on a 2, making that 3 as they're getting a lot onto Geiger, but look at that wish from Barlow, just healing everybody up through the entire time. Soul Unbound, Aj is fighting over the wall, going to be able to blink back over towards the rest of the team. Here comes Nightstar, looking to pop off in the fight again. 2 right off the bat, and this is not the fight that Wang Dynasty needs. Make that Wang's Revenge, as they're not going to be able to keep themselves standing. Debonair getting pushed back out of the fight. Gonna have to flash over the wall, and it's just these 3 members. Make it 2 before too long, as Rapid has been slowed down, and they are going to look to take him out. Nightstar one-on-one, gonna be able to take down Deathwalker, and this is all she wrote for Wang's Revenge in game number 2. Castleberry looking to close things out right here and now. They just gotta wait for this minion wave.
Yeah, it looks like this is going to be the end of game 2, but setting up a very good series here. Nightstalker carry potential both ways, just unable to do it in game 1 due to a misplay, but here he said, look,
This is getting a little close, but Nightstar is going to be able to get the rapid fires off. You know, the big difference there is that the lightning crash actually giving you that ability to just keep on shooting through a target in front of you will be able to find its way onto the Nexus.
Yeah, and really good. Well, like Nightstar, definitely the carry there. Was able to do game one, wasn't able to close it out. In game two, played safer with a more aggressive champion, and netted himself a pentakill and the team win, tying in the series up 1-1.
And that means we're going the full distance here, Davimon. We have got a game number 3 in store here in just a few short moments. We're going to see if they're going to be able to clap back on the side of Wang's Revenge, be able to take themselves up into that next qualification match, or if it will be Castleberry completing the reverse sweep. We're going to throw it to a quick break right now while we get into draft for that game, but we will see you all on the other side in just a few moments as Castleberry versus Wang's Revenge goes to game number 3.
This city never sleeps, chemically brought down on its knees. With every breath that I breathe, clenched fists and gritting teeth. Tonight the energy flowing in me is waiting for relief. Thunder beneath my feet, I sight you on my life. Until the dawn, the darkness falls, and I lose control. I feel it in my bones, a spark to lead us through the shadows. Can I fight the way before me? Coursing through my soul, a road to guide us through the sorrow. Can I calm this storm inside me? This electricity, a part of me that's under pressure. Charged up, my fuse igniting a sight you wanna see. I'm outside, pointing to the sky. Gonna make the earth shake, cause you can't contain me. Voltage burst through the black of my eyes. Put my finger on the trigger and I'll shock you, baby. Against the odds, until the dawn, the darkness falls, and I lose control. I feel it in my bones, a spark to lead us through the shadows. Can I fight the way before me? Coursing through my soul, a road to guide us through the sorrow. Can I calm this storm inside me? I feel it in my bones, a spark to lead us through the shadows. Can I fight the way before me? Coursing through my soul, a road to guide us through the sorrow. Can I calm this storm inside me? I feel it in my bones, a spark to lead us through the shadows. Can I fight the way before me? Coursing through my soul, a road to guide us through the sorrow.
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the NACL Open Qualifiers Group Stage, brought to you by Aegis. We have got ourselves Wang's Revenge taking on Castleberry in a final game number 3. Great fight back from Castleberry in that second game. Nightstar able to convert the pop-off upgrades from a quadra kill to a full-on pentakill on the Zeri, and will be able to take us all the distance here. But now losing out on 2 additional players. So we are going to have to see. Or losing out on 2 additional players. Losing out on 2 additional champions. I don't know what I'm saying. 2 additional hyper carries. I'm mixing myself up. I'm looking at some of the nonsense that these players are typing in chat, and they're throwing me off.
Yeah, but there are other options out there, especially with the Smolder, but they're continuing to ban it. Wang would also have to probably keep that Senna and Virus ban as well to keep it away from Nightstar. But there are still, other options that he could possibly take. I don't mind seeing a Draven come in, especially, or Callista as well.
Oh, I see what happened now. We were in a blind pick lobby. That's why we had to remake everything. So that's a little bit of a whoopsie. So we're working on it.
Rip.
Keep that inside PVS. So no need to shoot out a little extra words of encouragement here to the players, but we will be ready to get into this game here before too long. Draft, of course, requires you to be in a draft enabled game mode, but as soon as we're able to put all those pieces together, we should be able to get you game number 3 going before too long.
Looking forward to seeing what they're able to come out with as answers. This fearless draft is definitely something that you need to adapt to, and it's definitely going to. Yep, and we'll see what they start without as draft is beginning.
Yeah, this is definitely where the fearless format starts to get interesting. You start to really feel the pinch here around game number 3. I'm looking forward to when we start getting game 4s and game 5s as we get deeper into like promotion tournament and NACL playoffs. Like that's where people are really going to start to get pushed to the very brink of their champion pool. For now, we'll have to see. It looks like it's going to be Wang's Revenge keeping that blue side, so we are going to be keeping the identical sides the whole night long. They're going to claim that Orianna ban for themselves now. Will they take the Senna ban at the full distance as well? They just start to feel the pressure that, hey, we can't pick this, we can't pick this. We need to make sure that none of these are going to be available.
Well, I perceive it to be a Senna ban and then just grabbing the Varus themselves. If not, then they're just leaving up Nightstar to have something that he wants. Either one of those 2 options. Maybe they go for the Varus and play it into the Senna, but leaving such a power pickup on the side of CB definitely seems like they're counterintuitive.
Yep. Shout out to Mad Magical coming in with the raid as his stream is wrapped on up. We will be getting into game number 3 of Wang's Revenge versus Castleberry here before too long. This time the Varus stays up, and Wang's Revenge are going to snag that one for Deathwalker.
Yeah, very smart. Just because there's a lot of opportunity out there, you don't want to give it to Nightstar. It does okay into the Senna itself. CB answering with the Vi, I fully expect to see Wang grabbing the Tom catch, especially after the Vi being shown here.
Yeah, I mean, this would be an interesting moment where Castleberry can grab themselves their own Tom catch. I mean, they're also the only team that's allowed to pick Senna. But no, instead they're going to just take the misfortune here. They want that lane dominance up against this Varus.
I think leaving the TK up is a misplay on the side of CB. If Wang doesn't grab it, I will be truly surprised, just because it is a Vi answer.
Yeah, would be very, very good up against the Vi. Although now that you're facing down this misfortune, you do have a little bit of a consideration, but we'll have to see what they want to pick in the lane. They do have the Zac locked in now for Wang's Revenge. That is very likely going to be for Rapid in the jungle, so showing something a little bit different here when pushed to the brink in game number 3. Deciding that this is going to be the pick up against the Vi. Could also be Zac in the top lane. or boil the oil. Can't completely discount the possibility of the flex. Now, do they take this Tom Kench that you've been begging for? That's a Rakan hover, and they're going to lock it in.
I am surprised to see the Rakan, truthfully. But it is very well. It can catch the Misfortune and keep her locked down. I am just disappointed I don't get to see the TK at this point. We're talking about it all series. MF Leona into Varus Rakan. Yeah, this is what, season 6?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a while. Don't ask me to name specific season names, Dobby, but it's been a while. It's been a while since this has been the most popular bot lane pairing in the scene. They are going to take it here for a little bit of lane domination up against the Varus and the Rakan. Do like the Leona into the Rakan. It's always kind of been that little back and forth between those two picks. Punish each other for going on in. Leona maybe often considered to be a little bit favored there, with her ability to really sniff out exactly where the Rakan is going to be, thanks to that grand entrance animation, and just chain CCM as a result. It's going to look like it's going to be some top lane bans here coming into the ban phase 2.
One of the few stuns that you can't miss as well, and just happens to be on Leona. And the CC chain can definitely stack very long if done properly, but we'll see how well they're able to do it. There's a lot of all-in potential onto this MF already, so and she might be fast, but she's not mobile. There's no dashes or escapes outside of that flash.
No, none at all. So gonna be very risky up against the Zac Rakan. They're both going to be able to collapse on you really, really effectively. Top lane bans, though, finished up for Castleberry, wanting to guarantee themselves as favorable matchup as they can for Geiger, who may be getting that last pick privilege here, unless they want to save it for Aj. Definitely were much happier with him on the Yone than they were in game number 1, where he was piloting that Ahri. Now going to be the NACL locked on in, so they decide they're comfortable blind picking mid. They want last pick for Geiger.
Yeah, and I think that's very smart too. Debonair hasn't had a very strong showing outside of Swain, which was just sitting in front of people. Had some misplays on that Orianna with a couple of missed shockwaves onto their team, but locking in that Ahri for him, which is one of his most prioritized picks, seems to be what they're going for here.
For sure. There's going to be the Ahri lock-in, like you said, and that's going to be that pick that we haven't seen since Aj piloted in game number 1, kind of whiffed through the picks and bans last time. Now going to be a great opportunity for them to see if they can make the picks happen. And there's that Cassante. So just taking quite a few pages out of Castleberry's book from game number 1. They take that Cassante Ahri duo and are going to look to set up for that Varus the same way they were setting up for the Jinx. Of course, it was Wang's Revenge that ended up winning that one. Now going to be a little bit of a wombo composition coming out of Castleberry with this Nico, Misfortune, Leona already locked in, and they're going to round it out with the Gnar, taking that as a increasingly popular counter pick to the Cassante, and that's going to set up Geiger to be able to contribute to all of this super powerful AoE damage that Castleberry has claimed.
Yeah, especially if they're able to maximize their ultimates correctly and layer them on top of each other. That wombo combo, like you said, could potentially just knock Wang out of this tournament, right? Just based off of that.
Yeah, one massive team fight should be all it could take for Castleberry to be able to come on out ahead. That is definitely what they are hoping for here. I really like what we got to see out of them in these first couple of games. You know, both of these games have been relatively close. We've seen some really great fight back from the team that was at the disadvantage in both games. Castleberry looking so strong with that Zarian game number 2, but there are some fights that were really getting us wondering towards the end there if they would be able to piece them together. And in that game number 1, even though it was Wang's Revenge who were in the driver's seat for so much of the back half with how strong that Swain was, they were still able to piece together the critical team fights around Nightstar. Now, though, they find themselves with Nightstar on this Misfortune. Will probably top the damage charts in the case that they end up winning, but is not that traditional DPS hyper carry that they've been relying on him to be throughout this entire tournament, really.
Yeah, and the fact that it's not a traditional hyper carry like Jinx or Zeri definitely puts adds some question marks to the pick itself. So we'll have to see how well he can pilot the champion, especially into this all-in potential that Wang does have. And there's so much disruption there. Who knows if he's going to get a fully timed bullet time out there in these team fights. So we'll have to see how well how well CB is able to defend him. Leona can do it, but traditionally champions that stop engage very well, such as Thresh and Braum, were not picked up into this team fight.
Yeah. And this is going to be, one of those situations where it's really where Fearless starts to make a big difference in what you're able to go for. They almost certainly, we can deduce from their actions over the last couple of weeks that they want Nightstar on these hyper carries. They want to give Nightstar the opportunity to be popping off in these late game fights. They've picked 2 games of Zeri, 1 game of Smolder, 1 game of Jinx up until this point in the group stage. So you can tell where their eggs are going to be placed when they have the freedom to place them anywhere they like. But as we get deeper into the draft here, Jinx is taken off the board, Zeri's taken off the board, the Smolder's going to be banned. You could have gone for something like the Sivir, but I understand not liking it here. You're not... Nobody plays Kog'Maw. Nobody plays, some of these other traditional crit carries. Definitely not in these sorts of positions in this sort of meta. So going towards an alternative strategy, and it's hard to come into this and not feel like Castleberry are kind of playing a B tier strat, at least for their team.
I would love to see a Kog'Maw being played, just because it's the OG Smolder, if you will, right? It's just the straight up hyper carry. It has the shred. It doesn't have the execute, thank goodness, because I don't know why that mechanic exists. But it is an extremely strong power pick. You can build it defensively as well, and just being able to do tons of damage. Maybe it's just not, because it's not played, they don't feel strong enough using the champion, but it definitely has that hyper carry potential that Nightstar plays towards.
Definitely. And in this new era, that's the kind of flexibility you need to be able to show here if you want to be able to make it deep into this tournament. If you want to be able to make top 8, going to have to start right here. We will have to find out if they are going to be able to pull it on off. I don't know what the results of the CCG Ole Miss game are quite yet. If anybody knows, please ping it to me and we'll be able to give an update. But in the meantime, not knowing who their opponent is going to be yet, you're going to be happy with whoever you end up against, assuming you get to even play the matchup. We are on to the Rift here. Game number 3, Wang's Revenge versus Castleberry for all the marbles. Loser is going home. They are done in the qualifiers until summertime. Winner will be marching onwards to a qualification match for top 8 next week.
Yep, and we'll see how well that goes, but it seems that we are 5 pointing on the side of Wang, and CB feeling cheeky, going for that early invade on the top side just to get some vision down.
30 seconds until minions
Get some vision down for sure. Really like Aj taking over the form of the Misfortune here, making it real unclear who that carry is going to be. Where is the Tangle Barbs going to come from if they do? They feel comfortable being able to get over and throw down to that first aggressive ward. Just getting that extra information about where Rapid is going to be, knowing that those Zac ganks can be a menace early on, but will get cleared out. They're going to give that gold over to Debonair, and that little bit of XP that it gives as well will grant you that earlier level 2.
Yeah, which will be good for him because he needs to be able to pressure the Nico very well. But more importantly, this denies them to know where Rapid is starting. They're going to possibly assume top, but they just don't know now, which gives them a lot of information. But Gygar absolutely sees he's not starting in the top side. A lot of good invade from him to be able to see that up.
Yeah, get a little sneak over there from the Gnar. Knows that he's not going to get collapsed on, and therefore is able to gather a little bit of information for Castleberry. Nice early trade from Debonair, though, finding the full Foxfire on towards Aj. Starting that W in some of these matchups, it can just make you so favored in the level 1 trades and really set you up for success later on, especially when, remember, we are expecting this level 2 to come on through first for the Ahri, so could get a nice little trade off of it if Aj is not playing carefully.
Yeah, I think Aj is going to do very well just because of the Foxfire start. It means that you're not going to be pushing the wave super hard, so that early level advantage is not really going to be a long time.
Absolutely.
Just because.
Now, looking over towards this bottom lane, it's been kind of a calm start up. There's going to be level 2 ticked over by Cerulean Deathwalker, so they are not going to be punished too heavily by not making that first level 2, but Barlow already looking for some aggressive trade opportunities. Want to call it that Nightstar did go for that first strike. They're going to be looking to be the first one to start off these fights. They're going to be looking to generate some extra gold for it. Has to flash away from the rapid gank, though. Elastic Slingshot doing its job, sneaking over into the enemy jungle just to come on over the wall, and will force out that critical summoner from the Misfortune.
Yeah. And if I am Rapid, I'm just going to walk right back around just because I saw that that entire bot side was not taken, and apply that pressure and going for a repeat gank.
I see chat has now informed us CCG did take down Ole Miss 2-1. If that is correct, then that would mean that the winner here will play up against Ole Miss for a spot in the top 8, and that would mean that CCG have already made it there themselves. So would be a rematch for Wang's Revenge if they're able to make it. And they took that series to 3 games, so they definitely feel like they could have won it. The game started to get really, really close there. I mean, Castleberry, they definitely would like to take their swing as well.
Yeah, I think whichever one of these teams makes it out of this game is going to have a really good opportunity to beat Ole Miss. It just hasn't been looking really good for that team recently, at least in the spring. So we'll see what happens, but the fact that Wang was able to take a game off of them and CB have shown to be the better team outside of the game 1 misplay definitely provides a lot of opportunity to see that upset.
Absolutely would be a huge development, especially with Ole Miss having been in top 4 last time around. They are in such a comfortable points position. Could very well be one of these teams that is able to make it to top 4, and being able to take them down this early, that kind of throws over the whole qualifier into a bit of chaos, right? If one of those top 4 teams doesn't even make it to top 8, now you can start sneaking up, grabbing additional points, and you know, it's not just about getting first anymore for some of these teams that previously weren't top 4. Now you can just get your extra points, get in your hits wherever you can, and look to steal that spot from Ole Miss regardless of who wins the whole tournament. Not to get too far into hypotheticals here, that is going to definitely be a game that comes up later on. Got to win this one first to be able to have any shot at getting that math on across. And so far, pretty calm stuff. Both junglers paying a visit towards bot lane. Neither one going to end up accomplishing too much. But Castle with a pretty substantial CS lead. Flash attempted Tango Barbs from Aj. Not going to connect.
Yeah. Really aggressive there, especially since Aj is about to hit 6 and won't have that flash for that Pop Blossom into any objective fight that they might be going towards. But it does push Debonair back without the TP. It gives them the pressure to go for these early grubs, going for this push potential. CB have been really heavy prioritizing it, making sure that their top side is always giving the pressure. And this does allow them to shred those towers a lot easier.
Definitely does. That is going to be Barlow looking for a little bit of a Zenith Blade engage. Going to be able to find the damage onto Cerulean. Deathwalker falling lower and lower as well. Cleanse is popped by Nightstar as they are kiting this back away. Nightstar going to be able to pick up the kill. That actually goes over to Barlow, but it is a win for Castleberry, and they will take that all day, every day. They walk away with the kill.
Yeah, and there's no answer for the side of Wang either. A really light cleanse from Deathwalker. No flash to get into a better position either, and just the fact that, well, I mean, Leona is not a support you want to duel early. Like, she is just so strong and does all the damage.
Really is. That is going to be the difference maker that gives Nightstar that additional lead early on. And Yeah, you probably wish the gold hadn't gone over to Barlow, but you still get the assist gold, and with only splitting that one way, that's still pretty big cash injection. We'll give you that serrated Dirk, rather. You start walking back into lane here and are going to look to continue on this sort of combat as Tiger has access to the Gnar here. He's going to look to extend this trade. Doesn't use the Gnar. Oh, coming back on in. Now maybe he's going to use it. He gets another full combo. Gnar's Boil the Oil back into the lane. All out comes through out of Boil the Oil, though. He knows he's shrinking down to mini form before too long, and Boil the Oil likes the odds in this fight. Flashback away from Geiger. Boil the Oil's back over the wall, dodges out in the third, and Tofo strikes, trying to proc Hyper, but it's just not enough. Boil the Oil coming away with the solo kill up against Geiger in game number 3. Castle's not done, though. He's going to look to take on down Boil the Oil as well, chasing him deeper underneath the turret, and Castle will equalize.
Yeah, and was able to make that play in such a fastness time that Geiger was able to get the assist off of it, but extremely well done outplay, being able to read that the Mega Gnar's rage was going down, and you're just able to go all in on that potential because there's no escape for him.
None at all. Really great read there from Boyle to be able to get the solo kill. It does get equalized by Castle, though, so still going to be Castleberry in the lead here. Nightstar and Barlow still looking for blood, confident in their ability in these 2-on-2s, and Barlow's just stepping up, looking for the stun onto Cerulean and just says, hey, yeah, I'll fight all day, every day. Just keep on moving into me, and I will keep on landing these stuns.
Yeah, especially since Night Stalker is 6 as well. Just any opportunity to get that bullet time off to completely negate everything that they can, anything that Deathwalker and Cerulean can go.
Absolutely. Leaning on up here, Geiger going to be feeling a little silly after that topside trade earlier on. Maybe gonna chill a little bit more as Rapid pays a visit towards mid lane, but Aj looks like he was able to navigate away from that without too much trouble.
Yeah, but this mid lane has been relatively even, very, very quiet outside that early cry in the bot side jungle, but like Aj and Debonair just going through the motions here.
Yep. Clearing out the wave there is Nightstar, just happy to use that bullet time to be able to force a reset, to be able to get priority and be able to find themselves little purchase. I assume they are on some kind of item threshold here. Are going to at least be able to grab that Rectrix. I believe that is the name of that item. Potentially working their way towards a Ghost Blade. That is going to be the item of choice. Geiger, once again finding Rapid. He loves this ward. He loves to keep vision on the enemy blue buff and just know where Rapid is. It is clear.
Yeah, and this also, in that back timing from the bullet time, allows Barlow to come up as 6 for these grubs as well, giving them a very good team fight potential, as long as Aj's flash should be almost up for this Pop Blossom.
Working their way on towards the grubbies. The first one's going to go on down, but Castleberry look like they want to make a big collapse play here. Aj coming on in forward, and it's a fake Aj over on the other side, or Barlow rather. Aj posing as Barlow, trying to find the engage angle, not going to be able to find it, and will be at least one grub going back on over towards Castle, but it is again that 4-2 split, so just one away from where Castleberry would rather be.
Kind of slow on their movement to get in there, even with their vision. They had the opportunity to get a good fight going with the ultimates being up, but
Waits back and forth, though. There's going to be the snare coming on across. Barlow taking a boatload of damage, and Debonair going to be able to finish him off. There's going to Pop Blossom now from Aj to be able to buy that extra space. Cerulean tanking up the turret, doing such a good job of being able to buy space for the rest of the team. Castle arrives, but he is too late as both kills have been claimed by Debonair.
yeah, really good job on Ari there, just to be able to clean up those kills. And Barlow just caught out of position and in CC locked so long. The tenacity doesn't work on those airborns, so just able to unable to move, I should say. Really detrimented him there, and it just allowed the follow-up. They were able to get so much damage down.
Yeah, well, looking to clap back on a Debonair, though. Nice use of the Vault Breaker over the wall. Gonna force the flash there. Debonair does not want to see what more is going to come out of that combo if the cease and desist is going to follow after it. Be able to back away. Rapid looking to pay a visit up towards top lane here, though. Doesn't look like Geiger is going to be at any risk. He saw him coming on in thanks to that pink ward in the ping brush.
Yeah, and they're just moving down to the bot side, seeing if they can't get a dive going here. But Debonair is rotating down to equalize the pressure.
Definitely, and this is a bit of a nightmare scenario once again for a Deathwalker. It's just so tough. You're constantly being forced off of your waves, losing out on more and more CS, giving a bigger and bigger lead to Nightstar, who does have that Yo moves completed that we called out earlier on, and will be such a big force in this upcoming Dragon fight. The first one did go over to Wang's Revenge, so they're going to be thankful that they've delayed the stacking in that manner at least. But yeah, these Wombo combo team fights, we called them out in the pregame. Such a big threat here if they are able to piece all of the ultimates together on the side of Castleberry.
Yeah, and if there's one dragon I'm comfortable losing early, it's definitely that Cloud Dragon. So I don't really think CV is too worried about losing that off the bat, at least for those initial grubs that they took. But they have so much potential right now just to win straight out, but they have to be mindful. Cassante has the TP, whereas Geiger does not.
Definitely. Pulling the dragon way out here. Surprised it was even still hitting them all the way over in their own jungle, and will return back to the pit. Yeah, just a little bit of an old standoff here on the bottom side. Castle lurking around. Rapid doing the same as he clears out his camps. The mid laners juking back and forth between clearing out waves and arriving to the play. Looks like Castle's gonna be the first one to bite.
Yeah, the pressure that he's got from his bot side of the map gives him the opportunity to move it, but they just gotta be very wary because Debonair has got first roam.
Turning on off, Castle channeling up that Vault Breaker, jumps back over towards the bush. We'll continue up their standoff. 5k HP on the dragon, still just being held here. I mean, these guys have been at this for a very long time. They're waiting for Boil the Oil to walk down. They're forcing the engage now onto Debonair, trying to burst him out. The shutdown will go over to Aj. Geiger is teleported into the fight now, and it's a 5 versus 4 in favor of Castleberry. Maybe even a 5 versus 3, as Boil the Oil is totally cut off and unable to participate. This is only their first dragon, but you know what? If we're all going to dedicate this many resources to it, Castleberry gonna be happy to be the ones who take it.
Yeah, it's not just about taking the dragon, it's about sending a message like this is their last stand and they're not going to give it up without a fight.
Absolutely here, and they are going to be the ones walking away. 1 kill and 1 dragon richer for it. They did expend the teleport. Boil the Oil had to walk all the way down, but does give Geiger the opportunity to maybe catch up a little bit in CS. He is down in that department, so Boil the Oil been doing a good job of capitalizing on that solo kill he got earlier on and just the additional gold it's bestowed upon him. But now with Triforce done for Geiger, probably feeling a little bit better in that matchup. And first turret gold going on over to Nightstar as well, with how much they've been able to hammer away at that over the course of the first few moments of the game, with all the time they've spent zoning Deathwalker and Cerulean away. As Boil the Oil and Rapid gonna move up on the top side, they should be able to secure themselves this Rift Herald, no problem.
Yeah, they're just taking it uncontested. No one's doing anything. Mainly because the bot lane for CB had a reset after taking that free tower. So Rift Herald free for the taking. Let's see how well they use it. Let's see if we can actually use it properly, not running into any tower, terrain.
None at all. Definitely want to avoid that kind of mishap, as really lost them a fair bit of tempo in game number 1. I'm not going to say it was the reason they lost, because it wasn't, but I'm sure they would have appreciated having a little bit of extra gold a little bit earlier from being able to drive. So maybe Boil the Oil no longer driver's license revoked, no longer allowed to pilot the Rift Herald. Maybe they're going to give that responsibility over to Rapid.
Yeah, one can only hope. But there's not really any other objectives to fight over right now. Just trying to get priority around these lanes, see if it can't open up the map a little bit more, especially since bot side doesn't have a tower.
Yeah, definitely not. And now 2 items deep, by the way, already for Nightstar. I feel like I've said this every game. Like, he just hits the 2-item power spike pretty nice and early on in the game and is set up so well to be able to execute on these mid-game fights. Just clearing out waves of the mid lane for now, getting funneled additional money so they can make sure that this bullet time hurts as much as possible. And then it's all just about finding the angles with everybody else who's set up to be able to hold them in place for that ability.
It also helps that lethality items are generally cheaper as well.
Oh, yeah.
And that Varus is going the on-hit Varus build. So his is traditionally just going to be a little bit longer to get online just because those items do cost more.
That's certainly true as well. But yeah.
And being 1,000 gold behind us.
A little more impressive when it's on the crit champs, for sure. But still, 900 gold lead. Pretty good for Nightstar here as Rapid comes in from behind, working on towards Aj. Pop Blossom is Pop, gonna try to avoid getting pulled back away from the turret, but there's no hope thanks to the Rakan charm. Debonair gonna be able to clean up that kill. That's gonna be his 3rd of the game. Is going to be the force that they are reliant on to be able to make these picks.
Yeah, and a really good pick there. Smart on Aj to save the flash though, and making sure that it's up for this upcoming objective. There's no way that we're gonna live through it.
Yep, and definitely going to need to be able to use that to help out the engage, going for both the flash and the proto build, giving you so much engage range on that Pop Blossom. Really going to be crucial to be able to start off the fights on their own terms. Tiger just continuing to trade with Boil the Oil up here. Nothing too exciting between these two beefy boys. There's 1 minute to go on to the next dragon. That has been where all the action is held for the whole series.
Yeah, it seems that both these teams revolve only around objectives. They're not really going for any picks or fighting for any vision. It's objective, objective, and objective.
Absolutely. Got their eyes on the prize. The prize that ends up making the difference in the later scaling game. Rapid maybe gonna walk into 3 members here though. Had the scanner going, but did not see how many were waiting for him. Gonna get chunked to half HP and forced to flash over the wall. That's a summoner blown from the Wang's Revenge jungler.
Yeah, and that's really good just because he's also put down to half health as this dragon spawns relatively shortly.
Arlo chunked to about half HP. Dragon going to spawn up here. Rapid already back in time. Regenerated off those bloblets pretty quickly. Geiger with some alone time on the top side turret will be able to claim that. He is in Mega though. That means when he TPs in, he probably will be Mini. Can be a big difference maker here for this Wang's Revenge team. Baron spawning up as well in the background. The pressure in the side lane still coming, and Castleberry, they're just kind of forcing Wang's Revenge to make a decision here. If they're going to start up the dragon, they got to do it right now, as Geiger has just been working his way onto that turret, chunks it to about half HP. It looks like they will give over the dragon in exchange.
Yeah, they just have no pressure anywhere in the waves either outside of top. So it's very difficult for them to go in, even the fact that Rapid is down his flash. Everything else is just relatively strong on their side. Now we just start the Baron dance here and have to wait another 5 minutes potentially for another attempt at a fight.
Very possibly. Baron though, on the table now. I'll keep on the lookout to see if any kind of picks can be set up here. And now with many members grouped up on this top side jungle, Castleberry might want to really try to hammer home this top side inner turret. There's a whole lot of gold held within those structures if you can keep up the pressure and just trying to keep them out of their own jungle, trying to reclaim the blue side jungle of Wang's Revenge in a Castleberry name. They're working on towards the Baron here, and as long as they control vision, it's going to be very tough for Wang's Revenge to do much of anything other than dance around here and try to face check.
Yeah, but yeah, they just need to be able to get this vision down, or it's just going to be lots of face checking, and they're giving up all this pressure because they're so split up. Like, why they have to use the bullet time to save the turret? They're starting to get out rotated on, and it's like both teams are playing a very good macro. It's not a lot of team fighting. They're just going around these objectives that they need to go around and then prioritizing vision.
absolutely is here. Now going to be that siege in mid lane coming in here from Nightstar, just continuing to push on out the wave. And these bot laners have been the ones where all of the farm is being funneled on both sides. Recalls coming on through from Castleberry now, perhaps on some of those thresholds. Yeah, they got a pretty good amount of money, especially in Nightstar here. He's going to come back on over with access to that last Whisper. Going to be that difference maker potentially in being able to work their way through some of these tanky frontliners. That Baron buff is still standing, is still sitting pretty, and both teams would love to be able to get a shot at it, or at least be able to bait the other team into a fight over it. The top laner is going to continue to brawl the bottom side. Know that Boil the Oil going to be the first one to get to move.
I would really like to see them fight over turret, but
Engage, being forced out of Debonair here. Castle uses the cease and desist, thinks that Debonair's up too far. Here comes Leona as well, looking for the follow-up. Geiger caught trying to go in for the cutoff, gonna have to flash back towards the rest of the team. Pop Blossom going to connect only onto the Zac. Geiger is actually dropped down to Boil the Oil, and now they may have overcommitted for it. Barlow going to be the next one down. Aj is gonna be focused down as well. They're gonna be able to get him down with one or two more shots. Castle trying to force them back. Aj is fully spotted though, and here comes Rapid to try to finish the job. Regenning back up off of some bloblets, but Cerulean will be the one to finish off the collapse. Surely Aj is not getting out of this. He's stuck in the alcove. He's going down. He's done.
nah. He tried. He bought his team enough time to not lose anything extra outside of maybe one objective. But they burned so much to try and kill Debonair, and it was so disjointed. Geiger was caught out by himself in the bot side. Boil the Oil was able to come reading and help from everyone else on the backside of the map as well, just completely pincering that entire CB roster.
Wow, I have not seen this before. This is a Terminus on Geiger. This is full on hit Gnar. I must be fully invested in towards the split push. This is an item I have not seen other than on the on-hit Varus.
Yeah, that seems like they're going to go, like you said, just for the split push. Probably see a Hullbreaker coming in third. Anything to help them in the duel versus Boiled Oil. But I don't see how he's going to be useful in a team fight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you can get in there, get a big Gnar ultimate off, in theory, you're setting up for the rest of the Wombo combo, and then it's like, it's all up to Nightstar's damage, but definitely agree, not going to be that beefy front line that you just want. It's going to really be on Castle to be able to fulfill that responsibility. You can see it already, Geiger. A little bit of an extra squishy mini Gnar, has to jump out to safety, and did end up falling down so quickly last game. Or last team fight, rather. Now moving on in here. They're bringing over Aj. He's disguised as a siege minion.
Geiger was able to get the quickness out of Cerulean.
Definitely was. So that's going to be another critical engage tool down. Aj arriving to the play. Surely we can count minions here. So they're going to be aware that Aj is not going to be able to do much of anything. Now the focus is on towards the dragon. This time it's Castle who's the first one on towards the objective, trying to start it up, and it's a full on 5-on-5. Big waves crashing into the bottom side, though. Going to end up losing out on a little bit of gold. Debonair lurking in towards the tri-brush. Geiger just trying to get some poke damage on the other side, but remember, he is very squishy here and is going to get zoned out. Now he's coming in on the flank on the other side. Rapid trying to force out Castle. Now channeling up that Vault Breaker, just going to dive right in out of the back line. They're just going to try to focus on down Deathwalker, but he's just staying alive for way too long. Tangle Barbs lands on a 3, but Deathwalker is still standing. Geiger dives on through, finally able to find the shutdown. He's going to transform here in a moment. Can he get the Gnar off in time? Needs to Gnar the back of the wall. It's a double kill over to Geiger. And now focusing him on down, it's Barlow and Aj bringing out the damage. Nightstar's already fallen down onto the other side, but they can rely on Aj for this damage this deep into the fight. But Boil the Oil is turning it back around. He's all out on the Cassante, and he's cutting down everybody he can find in a Castleberry jersey. Boil the Oil going to turn it back around for the team, claim the dragon, and claim the fight.
Yeah, Boil the Oil was so powerful in that team fight, and not just because he was able to clean up to the end, but because he completely negated Aj's ability to proto belt in and use the Pop Blossom. he actually knocked Nico out of it and allowed for them to allowed for Deathwalker and Acrylian to survive as long as they did and maximize their damage. Like, such a difference maker in that team fight was that Cassante, and it has pole vaulted Wang ahead in this matchup.
Definitely has, and they are now really in control here. One dragon away from being able to secure themselves the Ocean Soul. Yet again, the team fight pieces just cannot be assembled in a timely manner. It takes so long to kill Deathwalker in that fight, and it's just not going to be enough for them to be able to actually end up dealing with Boil the Oil at the end of the day. Nightstar ended up dropping down so early, was not able to be the DPS that they needed. Geiger was down as well, and you just cannot kill the Cassante with just Aj's damage.
Yeah, he is just so strong, and there's no other answers. And yes,
Solo kill. Oh, Debonair coming up with one on his own. Geiger going to flash in, get a Gnar him back into the wall. Needs to try to equalize this, feeling the pressure. There's going to be the solar flare. They will be able to take down Debonair, and the rest of the members are arriving to the play. Barlow diving in out of the back line. They're going to focus on towards Deathwalker again, but again, he's just so tanky somehow. They cannot finish him off with the tools they have available. They're going to force out Castle. They're going to take down Barlow over the wall. Boil the Oil is locked down. Nightstar, it takes him out of the fight, and this is another win for Wang's Revenge. They're going to be able to turn this one into Baron. They've spotted out Castle, and they're going to fend him off.
Yeah, that was such a difficult team fight. Like, Aj getting caught out, and they went so far to kill out Debonair, and they didn't even know which team fight they wanted to be on. It was like two different skirmishes, and we saw Nightstar kind of dancing around in between both before he decided to pull the trigger on his bullet time. And even when he did, it only took Boil the Oil down like a quarter to his health. He's just so beefy, and there's no shred potential on that roster.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the combo. 2 fights in a row now. Castle finds his way into the fight, goes in for the cease and desist, gets it onto Deathwalker, and there's 1 or 2 other members pouring everything they've got into Deathwalker, and it just isn't enough damage. They don't have the damage output that they need to be able to burst out this Varus, and the whole game plan is just crumbling around that.
Yeah, you can see where you can just see that they're not able to collapse appropriately. There's always something preventing someone from getting on the Deathwalker. Yeah, Castle's getting onto it, but if the only other person that's there...
Ooh, double pop blossom. This time they find their way on towards Debonair, but Aj is just blown up instantly, and Debonair survives the engage yet again. There's the bullet time. It's a little bit too late this time, though. It's a triple kill to Deathwalker already, doing a Nightstar cosplay as he wants to get himself in the multi-kill conversation. Quadra kill already. Geiger buying as much space as he can. Pulled back in by Rapid. They want to give this one to their AD carry. They're keeping up the charms. Shutdown comes on over, but he's gonna find it. Pentakill to Deathwalker. Wang's Revenge, pull the trigger, come out successful again, and this could be the end of the base for Castleberry.
Yep, Wang's Deathwalker's like, look, Nightstar had a pentakill, but I'm gonna have it when it matters in the series finale of this best of 3, just completely stomping out on these team fights. You could see power of the on-hit Varus right there, completely destroying Aj and everyone else. So powerful on that build.
Great stuff there. And there is that on-hit Varus making his appearance known, banned away in the first 2 games of the series. Wang's Revenge, they get their opportunity with the pick, and they seize it. Deathwalker now so powerful, making such a big difference in that fight, and now has all of the gold to make sure he's going to be able to do it again. There's the pop blossom coming through out of the team. Nightstar's got to be able to find the bullet time, but he's got Boil the Oil right in his face. He's going to get it interrupted by the all out, and Boil the Oil goes unstoppable. It's 2 members traded for 1, and that 1 was just the support. Castle and Nightstar no longer going to be around to be able to fight for this Dragon Soul.
Yeah, you kind of feel like CB gave up there. They're just running in, no vision, not together, super disjointed, and it just didn't seem like well coordinated play at all. It sucks to lose, but like I don't know. For me, I like to see the try. They did so well in game 1, and they never gave up. But here they're just, I guess it's like mentally and physically taxing. It's a later in the evening. Each game has been 30 minutes plus, and you can see that they're drained.
I think that's definitely a fair diagnosis here. A lot of folks on this team newer to getting into this top 16 stage and struggling here to be able to actually come on out with some of these fight wins. Definitely smells of desperation in some of the plays they're trying to pull off, and just the pieces not coming together in time. Boil the Oil has just been absolutely unstoppable in this game number 3, building up so much of a front line. And here's the flank on behind him. This could be the end of the game. All 3 members going to get charmed on up. The follow-up damage coming across. Both carries working their way through Geiger as he tries to throw them back away with the Gnar, but Deathwalker's already legendary as he takes the first kill of the fight. Rapid launching himself into the backline to interrupt the ultimate out of Nightstar. Nightstar able to return fire, but the Bloblets are going to be able to keep him up for now. Barlow trying to buy as much space as he can, but Debonair is the one who finds his way onto Nightstar, taking him out of the fight. And 3 members down for Castleberry means there are just no defenses left, and they're looking to make it more than 3. Flashback away from Castle, doing his best to buy all the time that he can to stay inside of the open qualifiers, because if he goes down too soon, his journey's gonna be over.
Yeah, and it seems that they're just buying Deathstalker time to run down and end this game right now.
Yeah, and it is going to be all over here. As much time as they bought, Deathwalker, Boil the Oil, and Rapid marching their way into the Nexus. Debonair going to look to clean up the last kill. That's going to be an ace. Not quite coming up on the scoreboard as Aj has already respawned, but Aj going to go down to make it official. Wang's Revenge will take down Castleberry and will move themselves on to a matchup against Ole Miss next week.
Yeah, they're going for the rematch from last week into next week versus Ole Miss. However, like you can see, CB just had like the fearless draft kind of beat them out. They had nothing that Nightstar was comfortable on, didn't have the same carry potential, and they were just methodically outplayed in that game number 3.
Yeah, no, great execution there from the side of Wang's Revenge. Great game on Cassante out of Boil the Oil. Great game out of Varus on Deathwalker. And, you know, they went for some non-traditional stuff in the first couple of games, right? We got to see that Swain come on out. And, you know, they didn't get the success that they wanted out of their Oriana Nocturne in game number 2. But game number 3, they get to just play a lot more of the standard stuff. They still have the Varus available. They still have the Cassante available. And they show they can play them with some of the best of them, coming up with a big game number 3 win and earning themselves the opportunity to continue to play for their lives in the NACL qualifiers.
Yeah, and Ole Miss is the one that they want to play against. Contingent is not. CCG is just so strong, very well put together, and Ole Miss has definitely been faltering, and the potential for the upset is there, especially with how well they played here tonight. And as long as they're able to carry that momentum forward, like the fact that they lost on something they won with versus Ole Miss tonight means that there's still a potential for them to do way better moving forward.
Absolutely. And there were some very close games up against Ole Miss as well. Like the kill count's very, very tight. The gold leads very, very tight up until some of those back-breaking team fights where Ole Miss were able to come out on top. I think they feel good about their opportunities in this rematch. So that's definitely going to be a series to watch next week once we are back with the open qualifiers. Castleberry, we will bid farewell to. They are still competing in the Aegis Champions League under the Dorado Gaming name. So excited to see this squad continue to grow together and how they're going to be able to do over there. But that is going to be it for their journey in the NACL qualifiers. They will not be playing in the promotion tournament come the end of the split. They will have to wait until summer to give it another go. That's going to do it for tonight's broadcast here on Aegis. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us for tonight's best of 3. We'll be back with coverage next week. We'll be back on this channel throughout the week with more Aegis leagues, including the Aegis Champions League, uncapped on Friday. For tonight, from myself, from Dabimon here, and from PVS on Prod, appreciate you guys. We'll see you next time.